So hey guys. Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2. What if Naruto transformed into Super Saiyan? Or should we say, what if Naruto was a Super Saiyan? In the first part, we saw some romance between Naruto with Anko, Tenten, Kurenai. Now in this part, we will see some romance between Naruto, along with the 5th Mizukage, Tomurime and Shikamaru's mother, Naruyashino. But before I start, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's start the story where we left off. Naruto arrived back in Konoha with Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizune and Hinata, with the group having voted much to Naruto's displeasure. To walk back to the village rather than have the Uzumaki Saiyan fly them back. Not that Naruto was complaining, but he preferred to get from point A to point B quickly, and yet the various people with him preferred their feet on the ground. Incidentally, Jiraiya mumbled how he preferred his hair stay attached to his head. "It's good to be home," remarked Naruto with a grin on his face while grinning at Hinata, who blushed at being so close to him with his tail wrapped around her waist and seeing the rippling muscles behind his shirt. Behind him, Tsunade was glaring daggers at him with anti-idiot eyes and telling him to keep his hands where she could see them while being mindful of his tail. While Naruto sensed this, he also sensed that was not the only reason she was glaring, and it was clear his spanking he gave to the woman shortly after their first meeting fight was still fresh in the Sannin's mind. Take Hinata to the hospital. I need to head for the Hokage Tower to properly become the next Hokage and find out just how screwed up things are in the village, stated Tsunade with Naruto nodding before he walked away from the 3 older shinobi to the hospital. And ignoring the negative looks being sent their way. You would think bringing back their new Hokage and not blowing them all to hell at a moment's notice would make them realize I'm not the horrible monster they still believe I am, remarked Naruto, while Hinata looked at him with sad eyes and leaned against him. I know you're not a horrible monster, Naruto-kun, replied Hinata with Naruto smirking slightly at her comment. I know you don't think I'm a monster, Hinata-chan. It's one of the many qualities I like about you, stated Naruto with Hinata blushing cherry red. Oh really? Asked Hinata while Naruto's smirk grew. Of course, Hinata-chan. You can see what others can't and it has nothing to do with your bloodline. That makes you special. Exclaimed Naruto with Hinata's blush increasing. As the two arrived at the hospital, Naruto frowned for a moment, remembering how the hospital staff, and Hiashi himself at the time, had been less than friendly towards him. The fact Hiashi didn't give 2 craps about his daughter made the situation worse, since the man could easily bribe or influence the staff to do something when Naruto, Shizune, or Tsunade weren't checking up on the poor girl. From what Tsunade had explained to the traveling group heading when walking to Konoha, the surgery would be delicate, dangerous, and Hinata would be sedated heavily for a short time after it was over, with plenty of time for someone under Hiashi's influence to do something. Naruto couldn't check up on her every day, even though he wanted to do just that, and neither could Tsunade with her time spent with other patients when she wasn't being the Hokage. Shizune would be in the same boat with different duties in checking on other patients and being the Hokage's personal assistant. Naruto knew many people hated him in Konoha, which meant Hiashi had a large line in the recruitment section and could choose just about anyone in the stick-it-to-Naruto army. Naruto was Hiashi's enemy. Almost all of Konoha was his enemy. Any friends he may possess were their enemies by association, and it really sucked when the enemies outnumbered your friends. Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata as she saw him frown at the hospital, and almost instantly the frown left before a smile came to his face. Don't worry, Hinata-chan. Everything is fine. Just thinking many steps ahead as usual, answered Naruto with Hinata nodding, though she was still worried about him while they walked into the hospital. What are you doing here, filth? A receptionist asked while she glared at Naruto. Came to drop off a patient. She is in need of a room meant for future patients going into surgery, answered Naruto civilly though it was strained. Why? Come to abort that bastard demonic child she no doubt has inside her body from violating it multiple times. Questioned the receptionist with a sneer. After I kill you for your stupidity, do you want to be cremated? Or possibly have what little remains I leave behind buried in a matchbox? Countered Naruto darkly while the receptionist sneered further. You can't do anything to me, brat. The councils made some laws while you were away and made it illegal for you to harm anyone in this village, replied the woman with a sense of smug satisfaction on her face. Those motions can only become laws when the Hokage herself signs them. Since she is my godmother, I highly doubt she will, and until she does sign them I can kick your all I want, countered Naruto with a bloodthirsty grin on his face. Anbu? Yelled the receptionist with 2 appearing instantly. What is it? Asked one with a falcon mask on his face. Forcibly remove this demonic thing from the hospital, please. I have to arrange for this poor girl to be sent to the for removing the bastard child she carries, answered the receptionist while glaring heavily at Naruto. First off, Hinata-chan isn't pregnant. She needs heart surgery for the damage the stupid doctors here missed from being lazy idiots. Second, if you two don't want the kicking of a lifetime, turn around and leave before I get violent, warned Naruto with the two Anbu looking at each other and then back at him. Well, throw him out. The councils made it explicitly clear this beast was to be arrested if it caused any trouble in the village, ordered the receptionist, while seeing the Anbu were clearly conflicted on this matter. The council's laws against my godson are void, came the voice of Senju Tsunade as she marched up to the group with Shizune right behind her and was glaring at the now frightened woman. But he got this girl pregnant. He violated her and is making a scene. Exclaimed the receptionist with Tsunade looking at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Pregnant? Questioned Tsunade with Hinata letting out an eep. And blushing while Naruto letting out a sigh. What can I say? The woman is an airheaded idiot. I clearly said Hinata-chan was here for heart surgery, answered Naruto with Tsunade smirking at him and then glaring at the woman sputtering at the Saiyan for his insult. Shut up you bigot. As of right now, I am the new Hokage of Konoha, meaning my word is law, and right now I'm ordering these two Anbu here to take you to Ibiki for a little much needed re-education. Take her away. Commanded Tsunade and watched with a great deal of satisfaction that the Anbu were listening to her and doing their job for once, if what Jiraiya told her about their questionable actions being true. You just can't get good help these days, remarked Naruto with a smirk on his face, and Tsunade let out a small sigh, followed by an equally small laugh. How very true. Come on Hinata. I need to get things set up for your surgery. The sooner you have it the better, replied Tsunade while escorting the girl away from Naruto. Don't worry Hinata-chan. I'll visit when I can. Naruto called out with Hinata blushing at the idea. I'll get strong for Naruto-kun. He likes strong women so I will show I can become such a woman, thought Hinata as she considered how Tsunade's apprenticeship would do just that and show how strong a woman she could be under the right teacher. With Naruto's time done at the hospital, he took off for his home via flying super fast and landed at the front door before opening it. When he got inside, Naruto was greeted to the sight of the house being clean, new furniture, and the smell of food being cooked in the kitchen. Hami damn it. This shit is pissing me the fuck off. Yelled the familiar voice of Taiya being unhappy with something. And of course the sound of swearing that came with it. Taiya, you know if Naruto-sama hears you say those horrible words he's going to be very upset and be forced to punish you, scolded Kin, while neither girl was aware of him having entered the house and watching them from his position just outside the kitchen. How will he know if you don't tell him? Asked Taiya before a throat-like sound from behind the two was heard and they turned to see Naruto standing there with a smirk on his face. I'll know about your swearing Taiya because I and possibly everyone in Iowa heard you yelling in anger, commented Naruto with Taiya going pale in the face and Kin giving a small smirk in amusement. Sorry Naruto-sama. It's just well cooking has never been my strong suit, answered Taiya with Naruto nodding, since he could see that since Orochimaru no doubt had his forces live off the land rather than use the basic house necessities to make food. Considering the now dead Saiyan had spent a great deal of his finances on researching ways to achieve permanent eternal life, it was no great surprise. Did I miss anything while I was away? Asked Naruto while seeing Taiya relax and not being punished while Kin pouted. Not much. Kurenai and Anko came to visit to bring things over. They told us that some members of the councils are searching for us, so they had to come here discreetly to ensure no one else knows we're here, answered Kin with Naruto frowning, since he didn't like how the council's sniffing around for people around him that they can use for their own twisted purposes. I'll deal with them eventually. Until then, you two still need to keep a low profile, and that means staying here away from the public eye, stated Naruto with the girls nodding, since they were pretty much considered scum in the eyes of Konoha, and walking around in public right now was unwise at this point. Hey, I just thought of something. You're in Uzumaki, right? Questioned Taiya with Naruto nodding. On my mother's side. Why? Replied Naruto curiously. Because I know of a girl back in Rice country who works for Orochimaru at one of the main bases there named Karen, and she is in Uzumaki too. Answered Taiya and was surprised she didn't think of it sooner. Damn, was she stupid. Really? Interesting. Distant family on my mother's side are still alive. This is something that can't be ignored. Was she still at the base when you last saw her? Asked Naruto with Taiya nodding. Yeah. She was actually here for the Chunin exams disguised as a grass nin, but her team got killed by a bear and she got disqualified later on since she didn't have any of the scrolls needed to pass. Karen should be back at the main base Orochimaru used in Rice country to plot his invasion and watching over the different experiments therewith. Kabuto, answered Taiya with her making a face when mentioned the medic nin. Did Orochimaru or Kabuto know about her being in Uzumaki? Asked Naruto with Kin and Taiya giving a shrug. I doubt it. Orochimaru was obsessed with finding a way to continue his life even after he learned to leap from body to body and wanted to extend it past the 3-year time frame. The Uzumaki clan were known for living long-lasting lives beyond the normal human lifespan and would have harvested it from her by this point. I think Karen didn't tell him anything for the sake of staying off the operating table. I only learned about it when we had a rare girls' night out and on impulse she wanted to have some sake. She's a bit of a lightweight in that regard, replied Taiya, since being the Sannin's bodyguard had its perks in knowing things that others didn't. Good. The sooner I get her away from Kabuto the better. I don't want the idiot to take up Orochimaru's work and use her as a test subject for his own purposes. The only thing I can think that's worse than Orochimaru is someone taking up his work and surpassing him in it, stated Naruto with the girls nodding. You're not leaving now, are you, Naruto-sama? You just got back. Exclaimed Kin with Naruto sighing and rubbing his forehead. I suppose I could wait a few days. At least let Tsunade know about Karen's existence and get the green light to go to Rice Country to extract her from that place, said Naruto and felt his stomach rumble violently. After your bottomless pit of a stomach has been filled with food, of course, remarked Taiya with Naruto letting out a sheepish grin. Well, it's a good thing Kin-chan make a lot of food then, isn't it? Questioned Naruto with Taiya going red in the face with anger and Kin herself laughing at her friend's misfortune. Hey. Just because I'm not naturally gifted in the kitchen like some people doesn't make me a bad cook. Yelled Taiya before glaring at Kin currently whistling nonchalantly. Perhaps not. Still, I think from now on I'll have Kin-chan be the chef from now on, said Naruto with Taiya grumbling with steam coming out of her ears. I'm not that bad a cook, mumbled Taiya while Naruto looked behind her. The stew you were making is on fire, remarked Naruto with Taiya looking behind her, and sure enough the stew she was making had somehow caught ablaze. Oh holy crap. Exclaimed Taiya as she worked to put the fire out and Naruto just sighed while Kin was looking at the scene with curiosity. How did she make the stew catch on fire? Asked Kin with Naruto looking at her and then at the redhead, trying to put it out while swearing profanity after profanity added. That Kin-chan is a mystery only Kami can solve, remarked Naruto with Taiya still trying and failing to put out the fire. Would it kill one of you two? Oh, I don't know, help me. Exclaimed Taiya while the fire seemed to grow and threatened to consume her. Yep. No cooking for Taiya for a while. Okage Tower several days later. Another Uzumaki? Questioned Tsunade with Naruto nodding. Right under the late Orochimaru's nose. Whether or not his wanted successor Kabuto knows of it is unknown. I'm not about to take that risk and have her be put on a slab to be dissected or experimented on, answered Naruto with Tsunade grimacing. Agreed. Still, from what you were told about her, this Karen was willingly serving my now dead teammate and is most likely serving Kabuto now too, stated Tsunade with Naruto sighing. That's a distinct possibility. Even if she is, I'd rather go to Rice Country and at least extend the invitation to being away from that kind of life, countered Naruto with his godmother for a Hokage sighing. Can't argue with you there. Considering she's family, I won't risk her being corrupted even further by Kabuto and give the girl a chance to live here in Konoha, said Tsunade with Naruto smiling, since it would be nice to have another Uzumaki in the village. I leave tomorrow morning for the mission, stated Naruto with Tsunade nodding since it was late in the afternoon and tonight was a full moon. She didn't need him going giant ape in the village even if he could control and use it with ease. Do you want backup? Asked Tsunade with Naruto thinking it over for a moment. No. This will be a simple smash and grab mission, answered Naruto with Tsunade nodding slightly before she remembered something. Oh. Before I forget, I've decided to promote you to Chunin rank and make this mission to retrieve Uzumaki Karen your first mission with that rank, stated Tsunade before she tossed him a Chunin vest and he caught it with a raised eyebrow. I thought the councils and the late Sandaime Hokage before you were against any form of promotion, questioned Naruto with Tsunade scoffing. They were. But my sensei is dead and the councils can bad girl all they want, you're still getting promoted regardless, answered Tsunade with Naruto smirking, and it made the woman fight not to blush. Honestly, what the hell was wrong with her body? Awesome, was Naruto's only reply before he left the room. Konoha's streets. Naruto. Called out Tenten running towards the Saiyan. What is it, Tenten? Asked Naruto with the girl panting slightly from running since she had been doing it for a while and trying to find him. I just wanted to thank you for bringing Tsunade-sama back to the village to be the next Hokage, replied Tenten with Naruto smirking. You're welcome, Tenten. The world needs stronger women and not those weak fangirls the academy has been producing in waves, stated Naruto with Tenten nodding, since the academy did do a lot of that. You won't get any arguments from me on that. Also, Tsunade-sama is going to work on Lee's back and says he has a chance to recover, though the chances are nearly 50-50 in terms of success, said Tenten with her eyes showing her sadness at the idea of her ever-energetic teammate being crippled for life. I have faith in my godmother, as should you, Tenten, and believe that Lee will walk again from this ordeal, replied Naruto with Tenten looking at him in surprise and her determination returned. You're right. Tsunade-sama is the best medic nin in all of the elemental countries. If anyone can heal Lee, it's her. Exclaimed Tenten with fire in her eyes that strangely resembled Guy and Lee during one of their extra energetic days. It seemed Tenten-sensei was rubbing off on her after all. Now you only need his green spandex, a bowel-shaped haircut, and leg weights to be a female clone of Guy. Though you in tight-fitting spandex wouldn't really be a bad thing, stated Naruto with Tenten looking at him with an angry look, and he quickly took to the air, laughing with the girl chasing after him with weapons in hands shouting curses. Who knew she would take his words so personally? After flying around the village towards the training grounds, Naruto smirked at seeing an out-of-breath, glaring at him for that earlier statement, and began throwing weapons at him. He easily dodged them, his smile never leaving, and it was clear that each miss on her part was driving the weapons user slowly insane. Stand still and take your hits like a man. Exclaimed Tenten as she unleashed more of her weapons, and Naruto let out a laugh that only made the girl angrier. How about no? Mocked Naruto before laughing further at Tenten's angry face. Oh, you are so dead. Exclaimed Tenten as she threw more and more weapons at him with Naruto, wondering how she had so many on hand. That and where she stored them all on her person. Naruto was so caught up in his musings that almost got hit with a weapon, but while it wouldn't hurt his skin, the sharp short sword had torn into his new Chunin vest, and that was upsetting. Narrowing his eyes, he turned from the damaged vest and turned to the now smirking Tenten, before seeing the smirk fade when seeing the slightly peeved look on his face. This vest was just given to me by Tsunade. I was hoping to wear it tomorrow for a very important mission and break it in there. Stated Naruto angrily with Tenten going pale in the face and saw him get a sinister twinkle in his eyes. The kind of look that was similar to a certain sadistic for a special jounin kunoichi who liked to hurt people for fun and got paid for it. I'm sorry. I thought you would dodge it. Exclaimed Tenten while backing away from the now slowly descending Uzumaki for a Saiyan. An error on your part. Something that you should be punished for, Ten-chan. Stated Naruto with Tenten now sweating in fear. Go on, Naruto-kun. Give her the Tsunade treatment, remarked QB in his head and giggled perversely. Come here, Ten-chan, commanded Naruto playfully with Tenten backing up further with her hands waving defensively to possibly have him reconsider. I just remembered that I have to do some last-minute work at my family's weapon shop, stated Tenten before turning to run away. Only to be caught at the waist by Naruto and held like a sack of potatoes with her feet off the ground trying to run. And you spent all that time chasing me. Naughty girl. Naughty girls need to be punished accordingly, remarked Naruto in a mischievous tone. Knock it off, Naruto. It's not funny. Cried Tenten with a bit of panic in her voice, since she had seen his pranks manifest themselves in ways that were designed to humiliate his targets. Punishments never are, Ten-chan, countered Naruto with his grin not leaving him, and he quickly flew off deeper into the trees of the training ground they were on. And ignoring Tenten's pleas for mercy that followed long after the echoing of slaps of a hand to her rear end were heard. Time with the Mizukage. Harumi Mei let out a sigh in her office while thinking of Naruto and how she wished the 3 years would fly by and he would come see her again. Some would question whether her interest in Naruto was a bit odd considering his age, but in a few short years, Mei knew he would be more manly and very desirable by those around his age at that point. Mei saw power, strength, conviction, and hunger in Naruto's eyes, with some of those things aimed at the female bodies he saw around him. Her body included. Just a few more years. Just a few more years and we can be together, remarked Mei with a sigh and made a mental note to take her anger out on Ao if he came into the room. We don't have to wait if you don't to wait, Mei-chan, stated Naruto after appearing via the window and shocked the female Mizukage. Naruto-kun. Exclaimed Mei as she leaped from her chair and glomped onto the Saiyan with his head now buried in her watermelons. I've missed you too, Mei-chan, was Naruto's muffled response, while his face was buried in her valley of soft flesh of pillow-like goodness. What are you doing here? Asked Mei with the Mizukage taking his head out of her valley and saw the lust-filled look in his eyes. Isn't it obvious? I came to see you. I've missed you. I wanted to see you again after the Chunin exams ended in disaster, answered Naruto with his tail sneaking up behind her and caressing the woman's butt. Yes, I agree with you, Naruto-kun, and North Dakota, I think we should spend more time together. Exclaimed Mei while loving the way Naruto was using his tail now sliding up her dress and rubbing all the right places. Then let us do just that. Right here. Right now. Stated Naruto before he began to kiss the woman passionately on the lips, with the woman sounding from the dominating way he was taking control. Naruto-kun, sounded Mei, as she felt his tail removing her dress down to her ankles, and his hand soon grabbed her in a strong possessive manner that told the Mizukage that it like herself belonged to him. That's Naruto-sama to you, my red-haired vixen. Put up the silencing seals this office has before your annoying assistant Ao comes in here to investigate and ruins the mood, commanded Naruto with Mei doing that, though it was a bit difficult with his hand on her moving between her legs. Screw the age gap. He was physically fit and ready for this type of thing, so why deny him? As you wish, my red-haired and super hot Mizukage, whispered Naruto with Mei sounding and crying out in pleasure that soon followed with the discarding of clothing from both sides. Mizukage-sama. Mizukage-sama. Came Ao's voice suddenly. What? Asked Mei as she opened her eyes and saw she was in her office alone. Mizukage-sama, I need you to look at these forms but stopped when he saw Mei giving him the death glare to end all death glares and wondered what he had done to offend her. Ow, replied Mei in sweet tone that made instantly put the man on edge. Yes, Mizukage-sama. Said fearfully. Get out of my office or I'll kill you slowly. Commanded Mei while did just that with an outline of his body being the only thing left before it too vanished. I wish that wasn't a dream. It was just getting good and that damn moron ruined it with his voice. I should have killed him, remarked Mei as she got out of her chair and to her surprise, felt like her legs were made of jelly. And it was during that time that Mei now felt a cool draft between her legs from where her underwear should have been. Shocked by this strange yet wonderful revelation, Mei felt where the fabric that was her dress should have been and felt a hint of wetness there before she noticed a piece of paper on the floor. Reaching for it with her other hand, the Mizukage saw it was from Naruto and reading the contents nearly made the woman squeal in delight. Had a great time, Mei-chan. No, it wasn't a dream. You blacked out. I don't hold it against you. It was an intense and pleasurable memory for me too. As for your missing dress, I've decided to hold on to them so I can remind myself of our time together in your office, and yes, I did redress you, so no one would know of our intimacy. I'm the only male who gets to see that stunning hot body of yours, and if any other guy sees it, I'll kill them slowly. Hope to see you again soon when time allows it. Stay hot. Naruto. With Naruto. Another woman conquered. One might think you were a womanizer, Naruto-kun, remarked QB in her humanoid form while Naruto mentally smirked. Perhaps they would QB, but you know me better than that and I love all the women I've been with in such an intimate manner, thought Naruto while putting Mei's dress in the drawer holding them. Well, don't expect to get any from me after our rutting, commented QB with a huff and Naruto smirking again. Who said we would rut? Thought Naruto with QB glaring at him. Don't say that. We both know it's going to happen one day and it's going to be world shaking. Exclaimed QB with Naruto still smirking at her. Then entice me. That is if you can, thought Naruto with QB narrowing her eyes at the challenge. Oh, it was on. Taming of the Yoshino. Nara Yoshino was a strong woman who ruled the Nara clan home like a competent. Cage runs a shinobi village and made her displeasures known to her husband in many ways. From a frying pan the sight of her husband's face or at night when they coupled without a safety word that usually put the man in the hospital under an assumed name shortly after it ended. Now however, she was at a crossroads in her life she never expected to happen and it was unsettling on so many levels. What was it exactly? She was having unhealthy feelings for another man. No. Not another man. A boy. A boy her son's age. Yoshino had seen him fight during the Chunin exams, seen him dominate Hyuga Niji, seen him become a symbol of absolute male power and dominance that no one could escape if they tried. His transformation into a giant ape, fighting the one-tailed Biju and Orochimaru's giant three-headed snake summons while still having more than enough gas in his tank to fight. Yoshino, he was the pinnacle of male supremacy and a part of her mind, the feminist part of her to be exact, kept telling the woman that she should get close to Naruto. To be nice, sweet to gain his confidence and then when he was least expecting it. Bam. Break his male pride and be any woman's submissive bad girl long after marriage. Part of Yoshino even wanted to break the boy in just to make him her personal toy to lash out on due to her husband starting to get a little sluggish and recovering. Maybe it seemed wrong to many, mostly men. But damn it, Yoshino was a strong woman and as such she had strong feminist needs that required a strong man be broken by her hands. Uzumaki Naruto would become the symbol of male masculinity in a few years' time and if she didn't break him soon women everywhere might not be able to keep their invisible iron-fisted grip on men in general. So with that in mind, Nara Yoshino made her way to Naruto's real home after getting the information out of Anko and Kurenai through various means of persuasion that would make a certain Toad-san blush. When she rang the doorbell, Yoshino waited for a few moments before it opened and revealed a sweaty shirtless Naruto with a small towel around his neck. Can I help you? Asked Naruto with Yoshino smiling at him. Yes. I'm Nara Yoshino. Shikamaru's mother, stated Yoshino with Naruto nodding. Oh yeah. I heard about you. Shikamaru is terrified of you for some reason. I don't see it, replied Naruto with Yoshino holding back the tick mark that wanted to appear on her face. Really? Imagine that. Exclaimed Yoshino with a small friendly laugh. "What can I do for you, Yoshino-san?" asked Naruto with the woman's smile increasing slightly. "Well, if it's not too much of a bother, I was wondering if I could come inside and discuss some things about my son," answered Yoshino with Naruto raising an eyebrow. "About Shikamaru? In what way?" asked Naruto curiously. "It's in regards to motivation. My son is so lazy just like his father. All my usual methods in motivating him seem to be having less of an effect on him each day, and I need new ideas to keep both lazy deadbeats on their feet rather than on their backs looking at clouds all day. Since you are creative in doing things in an outside-the-box manner, I was kind of hoping to run things by you and come up with new ways to motivate them into being better shinobi," answered Yoshino with Naruto smirking, since it was clearly something he would enjoy discussing. "Come on in. I'm sure we can work something out," said Naruto with him letting the woman in and saw Yoshino's smile turn slightly evil. "Yes. Yes, we will, and very soon," thought Yoshino while cackling evilly inside her head. "Be careful, Naruto-kun. I sense a feminist plot against you with this woman," warned QB with the Uzumaki for a Saiyan smirking at her. "I know. I sensed it during our conversation. Still, I'm not about to fold simply because a woman with a desire to break men has her sights set on me and my manhood," thought Naruto before shutting the door. "I don't expect you to fold. I expect you to break the woman's flower and conquer her instead," replied QB with Naruto smirking further at the sight of Nari Yoshino's well-formed rear swaying slightly when she walked into his home. "That is the plan," thought Naruto with his smile increasing. Sometime later. Nari Yoshino walked out of the Namikaze estates, her clothing ruffled, disorganized, the usually well-kept hair was out of place, and had the woman been more mindful of her own attire she would have realized her dress were missing. Yoshino couldn't believe she lost against the boy her son's age and had the handprint on her to prove it. One moment, the woman is talking to him about Shikamaru, then she moves in close, a smile here, a soft chuckle there, and just when Yoshino thought his guard was down, she struck. Fiercely too. Like a predator having caught her prey, Yoshino moved to force him into submission, kissing the boy passionately, moving her hands over his exposed torso, trying to get his motor running, while keeping him unaware of her true intentions right before bringing out the cuffs, the restraints. And all her usually favorite dominating toys that made her husband know better than to not say no when she wanted something. When she tried to move in for the kill though, that was when things backfired. She underestimated him. Underestimated his power, his strength, his naughty hunger, and the most important part of all. He was a dominant like she had been. Yoshino could tell he was into the idea of them kissing and going at it like naughty teenagers. She still had an amazing figure, despite giving birth to Shikamaru. In his house. What she didn't know was that Naruto was onto her, didn't like how she planned to restrain and ultimately break him for the good of the female gender. He took offense to that, and his Saiyan blood felt the same way too, since Yoshino could almost hear it within him roaring with fury, since trying to restrain a Saiyan for any reason from what he told her was blasphemy in the eyes of the entire race. She tried to counter. Tried to get free from his grip. But his blue eyes were sharp, intense, piercing, and intimidating, with a hint of red forming to show he was seconds away from unleashing some form of QB's power if the need arose. The punishment for trying to dominate a Saiyan. Getting dominated. Hence the hours they spent on that couch, clothing discarded, the feeling of him between her legs with his mighty masculine thing screwing her senseless. Him in control, the one thing she had never let happen to her before now, and what shocked the hell out of the most arguably feminist woman in all of Konoha was, she actually liked it. Liked it. Her of all people liked being taken like a submissive bad woman and sounding like one the entire time. As for Naruto himself. He didn't care she was married. Why should he? The boy no man she had just got dominated naughtily by had done nothing wrong. She had come to him, she had planned to seduce and break him in her unique way. No one could say what happened in his home was Uzumaki Naruto's fault because Yoshino had been the one to approach him and Yamanaka and Noichi could easily dive into her head to learn the truth. I can't believe that just happened. I've been tamed. Me. Tamed. Thought Yoshino as she made her way home and saw her husband looking at her with a worried expression on his face. Yoshino-chan, are you alright? Asked Shikaku seeing his wife in her haggard state and didn't know what to make of it. Normally that was him after one of their nightly sessions together and it was weird seeing the woman in this state. We're getting a divorce. I'm leaving you, was her only response with Shikaku looking at his son, who was spitting out cereal in a stream before looking at his father and then at his mother's form heading upstairs. Did mom just say what I think she just said? Asked Shikamaru with his father nodding. Yes. Yes she did, replied Shikaku before looking at his son. We are free. We are finally free. Stated Shikamaru before taking his father's hand and the two left their house before walking off into the rising sun in the distance. And ignoring the people staring at them with raised eyebrows. With Naruto. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone. And another one gone. Another bits the dust," said Naruto in a sing-song-like voice while he put Yoshino's dress in the special drawer that held all his conquests. "I never doubted you for a second, Naruto-kun," said Kyuubi with Naruto chuckling. "So you did," thought Naruto since he sensed the vixen had wiped sweat off her brow after he finished naughty dominating Yoshino. Naruto's merry ex-Maz. A 16-year-old Naruto came home, his good deeds for the day that helped in protecting Konoha from its enemies being completed, and was ready to relax. He wanted a warm meal, a nice bath, and maybe find a woman for the intense amount of pleasure that would happen as a result of it. So when Naruto came home for the holidays, that was Christmas, it was snowing heavily and was a wonderful Christmas day when he woke up that morning. During that time, the kids opened their presents, thanked Naruto, his wives that were their mothers or their aunts for the gifts they received before they spent the entire day having fun together. By nightfall, the dinner had been served and Naruto along with his children ate enough to make the Akamichi clan bow in submission to their mighty stomachs. Some time later after that point, the kids were in their rooms tucked away and got kisses goodnight by their parents before sleeping happily. As for Naruto, he was the last one to finish kissing his children goodnight and knew that things were pretty good right now with everything that was happening in his life. And it was going to get even better because when he entered the living room area, he came to see a sight that a certain super idiot no doubt would have wished for many times over. And would always be denied because Santa had put Jiraiya on the naughty list every year for his perversity. As for Naruto, in the bedroom, wearing skimpy tight red bikinis, with Christmas caps, gloves, and shoes on was every single hot kunoichi he had ever met. Each of them was by the Christmas tree, looking lovely, hot, and it was clear by the looks in their eyes, they were feeling hungry for something that wasn't a Christmas feast. "Well, look who woke up. Merry Christmas, Naruto-kun," said Anko with a sultry wink, and Naruto smirked. "Merry Christmas to you too, Anko-chan. And of course a Merry Christmas to Kurenai-chan, Shizune-chan, Hana-chan, Tsume-chan, Ten-chan, Kin-chan, Taiya-chan, Hinata-chan, Tamari-chan, Mei-chan, Tsunade-chan, Kyuubi-chan, and Yoshino-chan," exclaimed Naruto while seeing the hot beauties before him. "Wait. I understand Hana-chan and even Tsume-chan, but how did you get Tsunade-sama and Nari Yoshino into this harem of yours?" asked Tenten since she just saw Naruto smirking, while the two mentioned women shifted nervously while secretly clenching their butts. "Well, let's just say I had to give each of them a good kick or rather a smack to their asses so they know who is the boss in our relationship. I did the same to you if I recall correctly, Ten-chan," stated Naruto while seeing Tenten, Tsunade, and Yoshino blush red since they knew what he was talking about. "That aside, Naruto, we are here to give you a nice Christmas gift that you can treasure forever," said Tsunade as she stepped forward and leaned forward to give Naruto a perfect view of her chest that was barely restrained by the bikini top she was wearing. "And what lovely gifts you have given me. I almost don't know which present to open first since I hate play favorites," remarked Naruto while looking at his choices on who to claim first in this holiday feast fit for any male Saiyan. And one that also happened to be in Uzumaki. "Surely you can think of some way to have us all at once," challenged Kyuubi with Naruto looking at her, and he smirked in an almost evil fashion. "Multi-shadow, clone jutsu," exclaimed Naruto as he made an army of copies of himself that filled the rest of the room and saw the women in his life light up with joy seeing so many of him. "Best Christmas present ever," exclaimed Anko happily while the Narutos around her smiled lustfully. "Come on ladies. Sit on Santa's lap. I've got a present for each of you that I know you will all love unwrapping," said Naruto with each of his shadow clones, making a come-get-me hand motion. They didn't need to be told twice. The next morning, Naruto hummed happily while he was sipping some coffee when some of his kids came downstairs, yawning, mumbling, and greeting their father tiredly. "Did you have a good Christmas, father?" asked Minato, who looked like Naruto but had red hair and was Sabaku no Tamari's son. "Yep. Did you?" asked Naruto with his son nodding. "We did. Where are our mommies and aunties?" asked Kushina, who was the daughter of Naruto, and Terumi-Mei with this one having wild spiky blonde reddish hair. "Your mommies and aunties? Oh, they are sleeping in," answered Naruto while smirking behind his cup. "Why? Are they tired because of us running around yesterday?" asked Hisashi, who was the son of Naruto, and Hinata with the boy having the Byakugan like his mother while having the father's love for sparring. No, nothing like that. After you went to sleep last night, your mothers, aunties, and I spent the night together opening special presents only adults get," answered Naruto with his 3 children, among many looked at him oddly. "Special presents?" asked Minato with Naruto nodding. "Yep. But it's for adults only. They each gave me special presents last night too in return, and we were up all night expressing how much we loved our exchanges," answered Naruto while seeing his children still not understanding some of what he was explaining to them. "Then why aren't you sleeping in like they are, daddy?" asked Kushina with Naruto just smiling at his precious angel. That is a very special secret I will tell you when you and your other sibling are all old enough to understand everything, answered Naruto with the children whining, and it made the Saiyan chuckle slightly before humming a Christmas song in his head. They would eventually learn the secret, but when they did they wouldn't like the image it projected into their heads when they figured it out. Chapter 7. Blood and Information. Naruto flew to Rice Country at all speed high above the clouds. His eyes hardened to be like steel. His mind just as sharp while planning out on what to do when arriving at his intended destination. Naruto of course knew the whole point of this mission to retrieve his long-lost Uzumaki clan family member was supposed to be a simple smash and grab. But the hint of shock and awe attached to any survivors who saw him be a total badass if he let anyone survive to see him be a total badass. What troubled Naruto though was Kabuto was possibly very much alive after the whole failed invasion by Suna and Sound. Until Naruto left for this mission, the young Saiyan wondered just how that was possible, and only gazing into the various jutsus Konoha had regarding disguises did he find his answer. The corpse clone jutsu. An intriguing jutsu meant to be Konoha's version of dabbing into puppetry in a crude yet subtle way based on deception. The trick of this particular jutsu was to disguise yourself as one of the enemy or someone else. Meanwhile, you used a corpse of someone who was basically the same height, weight, and even blood type as you be put in a temporary reanimated state. They were secretly tied to you via chakra strings, which played the dead body like a puppet to walk, talk, and even act like you as if it was you. And of course one of the major requirements for this rarity of a jutsu to even work was medical knowledge of the human body at an almost unprecedented level. Sasori of the Red Sands, formerly of Suna, had done significant study on the human body in order to make his puppets and get them fight just as well as if they were actually alive. Heiya had mentioned to him before he left that Kabuto had been a former spy of Sasori, sent to keep an eye on Orochimaru when the Sannin left the Akatsuki to ensure the man would not become a threat to the organization. Only for Orochimaru to catch on and turn Kabuto to his side. Both missing nin had put quite a bit of knowledge into the silvery-haired boy during his time with each of them, and Kabuto proved to be a quick learner. It was no real surprise to Naruto that Kabuto could use and did use the corpse clone jutsu, given his upbringing in Konoha, when he was not under the guidance of either missing nin. Clearly the student had surpassed his teachers in terms of treachery and escaping from the enemy when needed. Though I wonder if Orochimaru is alive. If Kabuto is alive, could the Sannin be too, and just lost his one arm to throw people off his trail? Thought Naruto to himself since it was a possibility. There was only one real way to find out. Hovering over the base that Heiya told him was in fact underground to avoid detection from prying eyes and ears from the likes of Jiraiya's spy network, Naruto descended with the speed of a freight train and smashed straight into the heart of the base. Naturally, the base went on full alert, alarms blaring, and all its forces being deployed to defend it from the invader standing in the middle of his rather violent entrance. In fact, Naruto had been there for barely 2 whole minutes, and already he was being swarmed by base's enemy Sound Nin. Only to be obliterated by a blast of energy generated from his body. Now if I were in Uzumaki in a snake pit, where would I be? Thought Naruto while he began sensing the different energy signatures around the base, until 2 noticeable ones came to his mind. One was obviously Karen due to those with Uzumaki blood having a unique signature from what he could tell when using Tsunade as a partial template given her own family connection. The other one made Naruto scowl since he knew the signature from his time in Konoha and in the Chunin exams leading up to the invasion. Kabuto. Walking toward Kabuto's location, the Saiyan warrior knew the man also knew he was here and yet made no move to flee. Finding himself curious regarding Kabuto's stupidity, the young ninja blasted the steel door down where his target was located and saw the man smirking at him. Surrounding the former right hand of Orochimaru was the countless experiments the two had worked on in the past. Each of these creations clearly had their own minds, their very free will, and overall identity taken from them to be molded into something not their own. Warped to be puppets and slaves to the will of their creators and tormentors who worked on them day and night without mercy. Naruto almost felt pity for them. Almost. Hello, Naruto-kun. Fancy meeting you here of all places. I'm curious as to how exactly you were able to find me, commented Kabuto with Naruto never taking his eyes off of the presumed dead man. Don't flatter yourself. I wasn't hunting for you, Kabuto. Though I'm not surprised to find you alive. Your corpse clone was most impressive to fool the Mizukage, replied Naruto with Kabuto looking a tad surprised. So you know about that jutsu? I didn't think you did. Curious as to how you know about it when such a jutsu was never covered at the academy, remarked Kabuto while Naruto shrugged. Curious indeed. But enough small talk. I'm here to kill you and take what doesn't belong in your clutches, said Naruto, while making his hands into tightly clenched fists to make popping sounds in the process. Do you really think your power can best mine? Or my minions? You have no idea how strong I am, Naruto-kun. I am on par with Hada Kakashi himself, taunted Kabuto with Naruto raising an eyebrow at him. And? Is that supposed to frighten me? I took on the one-tailed Biju and won. I took on a three-headed snake summons and won. I walked through the forest of death and threw a bag of headbands down at the feet of the Sandame Hokage to show I could crush all who stood in my path. Everything and everyone who is essentially stronger than you, I have faced and won against. Do you really think your small army deformed test subjects and the albino in the shadows slowly rising from that lab table to my right over there have a chance at killing me? Questioned Naruto with the man in front of him frowning. Kill him. Kill the man who helped kill Orochimaru-sama. Commanded Kabuto with the various deformed experiments charging Naruto with bloodlust in their eyes. Naruto smirked before he met the large number of enemies head-on to the surprise of the man who commanded them to attack in the first place. Moving with superior speed and skill, Naruto smashed his way through them all. His fighting skills decimated each poor, deformed, and ultimately mindless soul standing in his way. Behind him, the albino figure moved to engage Naruto from behind, but the Saiyan easily countered white-haired man with an arm block. But what slightly surprised Naruto was the fact this person could make bones come out of his body and use them as weapons. Not only that, but Naruto actually found this warrior to be quite skilled in taijutsu. If the situation wasn't so serious, Naruto would have found more time to enjoy this fight. Sadly, all good things come to an end, and this fight was no different for the blonde Saiyan. Sorry pal, but you are in my way. Nothing personal, remarked Naruto before blasting the albino back with a ball of energy that would severely injure the man or possibly kill him. Not bad Naruto-kun. Kimimaro is one of the best warriors in sound, but let's see you defeat someone of my skill in taijutsu, commented Kabuto with his chakra scalpel in both his hands with the intent to cut through Naruto's various internal organs. Your skills aren't bad Kabuto, but I have and fought seen better fighters. Much better fighters, said Naruto, as he easily blocked each of Kabuto's strikes with ease and just as easily knocked the Sound Nin back. Frowning, Kabuto realized that as good as his fighting was, and his healing ability when injured was almost on par with a Jinchuriki, the man knew he was no match for Naruto. Maybe in a few years of extensive research, experimentations, and few underhanded tactics when facing Naruto. But not now. He needed an exit and fast. You may have fought stronger opponents on a physical level, but I am by far the superior warrior in terms of brains, remarked Kabuto, before activating the base's time-delayed self-destruction seal on the wall behind him with a smirk on his face. Powered. Just like your former master. Always running when something becomes too hard to handle. That's the problem with prodigies. No endurance in the face of adversity, commented Naruto while seeing Kabuto move to flee to a supposedly secret exit. Before moving with his superior speed to get in his way. Are you going to stop me from escaping Naruto-kun? What about the person you are looking for? This base is collapsing. Within a few minutes, the person you are hoping to find will be dead. Can you live with yourself if that happens? Asked Kabuto with Naruto just looking at him for a moment before smirking. Only a few minutes. That long? Piece of cake, answered Naruto before raising his hand and shot a blast of energy at a shocked Kabuto that caused the man to explode violently into multiple gory pieces. Seeing stirring and a sound of groaning echoing in the corner where he blasted Kimimaro not that long ago, the blonde Saiyan saw the albino was barely alive and refused to die despite his injuries. The man was losing a lot of blood and his injuries were very severe from what Naruto could see of the struggling albino. It was actually quite impressive. You might as well take him Naruto-kun. You may get a good sparring partner out of it if I can heal him, commented QP calmly while Naruto shrugged before picking the man up. Ah what the hell. I might as well grab as many people as possible, commented Naruto before he moved toward his intended target that was Uzumaki Karen. And bumped into her when he saw the girl running for her life to get out of the base. Hey. Watch it you stupid jerk, said Karen before she saw who it was she bumped into and who he was carrying. Oh good. You are right here. This just made things a whole lot easier for me, remarked Naruto before picking the surprised girl up over his shoulder, while Karen herself let out a squawk at being kidnapped in an undignified manner. Hey. What the hell do you think you're doing? Put me down you idiot. Demanded Karen while smashing her fists against his back. Calm down Karen. Don't get your dress in a knot. This place is about to go boom in the next few minutes. Is there anyone else here I should possibly grab? Replied Naruto with Karen stopping her struggles to think for a second. There's one guy, but he's a real asshole. His name is Sujetsu. There is another guy in a cell, but I don't think he will want to be rescued by you, replied Karen with Naruto now frowning and brought her nearly face to face with him. Where? Show me now. Commanded Naruto before held her out in front of him like a compass and ignored the cheek-puffing woman while she pointed in the right direction. Moving quickly, Naruto found his way into the surprisingly clean lab that Karen was just in, since it was her assigned post by Orochimaru before he left for the Chunin exams. In said lab, there were test tubes, computers, stacks upon stacks of papers, and of course the many dangerous chemicals in it capable of creating a weapon of mass destruction. Over there. The container filled with what looks like water, said Karen, while Naruto looked at a container of water with a raised eyebrow. So what is this exactly? Asked Naruto with Karen looking insulted. There is a guy, you idiot. His name is Sujetsu. Another idiot. Orochimaru experimented on him and his bloodline a while back so he can turn into water. He was from Kiri before being brought here. Sujetsu is a jerk, but I don't hate him enough to let the idiot be left here to die when this place goes, explained Karen before picking up the container and smashing it. It reveals Sujetsu form from his liquid state and also him being naked. You didn't say he would be naked, Karen, commented Naruto with a glare to Karen, who blushed and looked away from the nude boy. I forgot. He's been in there for months. Protested Karen while Sujetsu looked bored. I'm right here, you know, commented Sujetsu lazily. This whole place is going to blow soon. We need to move, said Naruto with Sujetsu simply shrugging. And I should care why. I'll just turn to water and reform, replied Sujetsu with Naruto giving him a deadpan look. Hard to do when you are buried under rubble to the point where even if you reform, you are still buried underground and have no way to escape long after it happens, remarked Naruto with Sujetsu blinking for a second in thought on the issue. Well shit, replied Sujetsu before Naruto saw a nearby lab coat hanging on the wall and threw it to the naked man. Wear this until we get out of here. Last thing I want to do is carry a naked man out of here and feel his junk on me, remarked Naruto with Sujetsu put on the lab coat. Better than nothing, I suppose, commented Sujetsu mildly. Not to press the obvious, but we need to move before this place explodes, yelled Karen angrily. There is still one person left to find. The one you mentioned stays in his cell willingly, commented Naruto with Sujetsu looking at him with more interest. You mean Jugo? I don't think you want to let him out. That guy is messed up. Will go completely psycho over the smallest thing. The only one who can keep him calm when out is Kimimaro, and judging from his bleeding body here that won't be possible in the future, remarked Sujetsu with Naruto narrowing his eyes at him. I'll be the judge on whether to spare Jugo mercy. As for his outbursts and Kimimaro here being healed, you leave that to me when we're safely away from this base, commented Naruto before he grabbed Sujetsu and listened to Karen on where Jugo's cell was located before finding the man inside waiting to die. Leave me here. I want to die. I only hurt people when I'm outside, whispered Jugo in a depressing tone, while Naruto ripped the cell open, grabbed him, and after putting Karen over his shoulder much to her displeasure, he blasted a hole straight through the ceiling straight to the outside. Following that, the young Saiyan flew up with those he rescued, ignored Karen's screams of fear and Sujetsu's cursing as he did so. Just when he landed a safe distance away from the sound base, the area where it once stood exploded violently, killing everything and everyone left inside of the base, leaving only a crater in wake of the explosion that was worthy of praise from the mad bomber of Iowa if the man had seen it for his own eyes. Aren't you glad I rescued you all now? Asked Naruto with Karen nodding dumbly along with Sujetsu, while Jugo looked blankly at the remains of the place that had been his crude home of sorts since coming into Orochimaru's service. So what now? Asked Sujetsu curiously while Kimimaro groaned in pain. Now I heal your albino friend here, replied Naruto before turning Kimimaro on his back and put his hand on the bloody man's body. What did you do to him? Demanded Jugo in a suddenly serious tone at seeing his only friend in this state and his power started to come off of him. He fought me and lost, replied Naruto while channeling QB's chakra into Kimimaro and began to slowly heal the albino's injuries. You attacked my friend? Demanded Jugo with his body and personality going through a change while Karen and Sujetsu backed away. He attacked me first. Also, I suggest you calm down before you do something stupid. If you interfere in what I'm doing now, the backlash of energy I'm generating will kill him, said Naruto with Jugo breathing heavily, his body and mind seemed to be struggling with itself in terms of what to do next. Calm down, man. Look. The injuries Kimimaro has are healing. You don't want to risk his health, right? Said Sujetsu nervously while Jugo narrowed his eyes at the sight of Kimimaro's wounds being healed. Yeah. At least hear what this guy has to say before you go all psycho on him for what he did earlier, added Karen, while Jugo slowly clamped down and still had a serious look on his face. Naruto ignored them by this point as he finished up healing Kimimaro, who at this point was coming back to the land of the living and saw he was surrounded by familiar faces. And one he did not. You. I remember you. I fought you briefly. Kabuto said you were the one who killed Orochimaru-sama, remarked Kimimaro with a hint of anger in his voice. More like assisted in stopping his plans for invading Konoha from actually working. The kill goes to the Mizukage. She melted him down with her bloodline limit. The only thing left to identify him was his arm with the snake tattoo used for summoning, which was destroyed later by me to prevent anything of him from surviving. The Budo only said I helped in killing him, so you would go into a rage to fight me in the belief you would win, countered Naruto with Komimaro scowling before he focused on the others around him. You saved them. Why? Asked Komimaro curiously. Because Karen is in Uzumaki and a member of my family. Sujetsu might find some kind of purpose in Konoha when we head there. Jugo I saved because he was in that cell and looked days away from killing himself. Dying without a purpose is a horrible way to go, answered Naruto with Komimaro looking at the other before focusing back on the Saiyan. Are you saying you can give me purpose? Give them purpose? Asked Komimaro while seeing Naruto nod. If I did offer said purpose to you, all of you, would you take what I offered? Asked Naruto with Komimaro thinking it over in his head before nodding. Yes. I would, answered Komimaro since he had nothing now and it wasn't like killing the blonde Saiyan in front of him something to consider. Even if Komimaro tried, he knew Naruto was the superior fighter and warrior between them. Even if Komimaro had yet to use his full strength at the time and his bloodline to its fullest, the Kagaya knew simply from instinct alone that this boy was his better in just about everything regarding how to fight. Orochimaru had once given him purpose, and the albino man would always be grateful for it, but the disease he had obtained during his service had made him value to the Sannin go down drastically. Only now, after Naruto had healed him, did Komimaro have a chance to be of use to his fullest, and had this boy to thank for it. And the three of you? Karen is family so I do want her to consider Konoha, but the two of you that's another story, said Naruto with Karen fidgeting. I don't really have another place to go and if we are family like you claim, I'm going to stay with family, said Karen with Naruto smirking. We are family. Cousins actually. I will tell you more back in Konoha. What about you two? Replied Naruto with Sujetsu and Jugo looking at each other. Hell I'm game. You helped me out with being freed and escaped being destroyed by that base. Anywhere else beats being in a glass tube naked, remarked Sujetsu casually and wanted to see how Konoha did things when compared to the rest of the world. I am a danger to the world around me. My power is unstable. Orochimaru used it for his curse seals. I should have stayed in the cell and died, commented Jugo with Naruto now sighing at his defeated tone and smacked him in the head. You idiot. That is the coward's way out. The way of the weak. Look at me Jugo. When I faced adversity, did I crawl up into a ball waiting for death to claim me? No. I rammed my fist through it. You have a problem and I know the perfect person in Konoha to help you deal with it, stated Naruto with Jugo looking at him curiously. Boo. Asked Jugo while Naruto smirked. My godmother. She also happens to be the best damn medic nin in the world and is the Hokage too. Her name is Senju Tsunade, answered Naruto, knowing if anyone could help Jugo with his problems, it was Tsunade. Are you sure? Orochimaru tried and failed to help me, questioned Jugo with Naruto frowning at the mention of the dead Sannin's name. That's because he most likely didn't help you at all. He probably only claimed he would help you so Kabuto could harvest your power to make those curse seals of his in order to jump from one body to the next, replied Naruto with Jugo looking unconvinced. He does have a point Jugo. Orochimaru team was supposed to be like some kind of super genius or something. Not to mention Kabuto had skills second only to Tsunade herself. If Orochimaru's sick mind could make those curse seals from your bloodline, then there should be no problem curing you no problem. I mean, couldn't the stupid team make you some kind of pill or serum to keep your temper tantrums in check? Questioned Sujetsu with Jugo not liking the idea he had been used falsely by Orochimaru. It's true Jugo. I was Kabuto's assistant many times on many projects. All of them were designed to extend Orochimaru's life. Not once were they connected to help you, added Karen, while Jugo just sighed in defeat. How do I know I won't trade one false savior for another? Asked Jugo to Naruto, who simply smirked. Because unlike Orochimaru team, my godmother swore an oath to help those in need of treatment. She takes that oath quite seriously, said Naruto, while Jugo nodded. Very well. I will return with you to Konoha as well, said Jugo before bowing to the Saiyan. Get off the ground. I hate that formal crap. Come on. We have a bit of walk ahead of us to Konoha. I would fly us there, but something tells me most of you would hate the ride, remarked Naruto with Karen glaring at him. Considering you put me over your shoulders and carried me like a sack of potatoes, commented Karen with a heated glare at her cousin. Not for nothing, but before we get to Konoha, can I get some clothing? I have nothing to be ashamed of, but I'm not a nudist or anything, said Sujetsu with Naruto nodding, since they did need that for him and some new clothes for Komimaro. Sure. No problem, replied Naruto before the group headed for the nearest town. Konoha HQ. Enzo frowned. Well he always frowned, but this was more the usual. Why? Because his intended weapon in the form of Konoha's Kyuubi Jinchuriki was out of the village. His spies in the Hokage Tower informed him of the brat heading to Rice Country to attack one of Orochimaru's bases for a possibly long-lost Uzumaki clan member. While having another Uzumaki was a great boon for the village, Danzo was angry over the fact this girl couldn't be put into his root program without raising red flags with Tsunade and the boy himself. While Danzo was confident he could handle the blonde Saiyan easily enough with his own hidden assets, the officially retired Konoha wasn't about to force his hand when the time to do so was not upon him. The invasion itself, had it been entirely successful in defeating Konoha's primary force, would have allowed Danzo to flank Orochimaru's forces with his root shinobi and make himself out to be a hero to the survivors. Such a victory for him would have launched him to the status of Hokage and made Konoha the major military power he always envisioned it should have been for years. Sadly, things did not work out the way he hoped, and the elderly man once more had to wait until Konoha's overall shinobi force was too weak to repel his root from taking over. Again, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki had prevented this by using his power to prevent Konoha and its shinobi from falling in a way that would have proved Danzo's method of running the village was better than his predecessors. A setback he had hoped to counter in the years to come with the right resources and events following this, but Danzo was not what one would call an optimistic man. He didn't believe in optimism. He believed in realism. As in knowing the reality of the situation one was in. And sadly for him, the reality of his situation was with his main outside backer now gone, Danzo would have to seek others who could aid him in his plans to take over Konoha. But who? Iwa? Not a chance. They would sooner see all of Konoha destroyed in its entirety. Danzo and his root included. Hell, the man would sooner have the Kyuubi Jinchuriki become Hokage before him. Kumo. They would just pillage Konoha of everything valuable from jutsus to bloodlines and leave nothing left for Danzo to build on. Kiri. After the rebels won against the previous Mizukage. With the aid of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki no less. Not possible. Suna was out of the question given their current situation of needing to recover from the invasion too. Danzo wasn't about to make the same mistake in terms of trusting a minor shinobi village to help him in his plans to become Hokage. His failure with Hanzo was proof of how unreliable they truly are when called to support him in terms of cashing in a favor. Perhaps the ally I seek in my plans is not in the form of a cage of a shinobi village, but rather in a daimyo of a country. There are reports of a man in snow named Dodo who is ruling with an iron fist and is looking for a way to access the advanced technology buried deep in the snow there. He's also having trouble with the rebels they're popping up and is putting a strain on him financially to pay his forces to put them down. Perhaps an alliance with him is in order. Such technology could be a good asset to have in taking Konoha for myself when the time comes to act on my plans, thought Danzo with a smirk, now having formed on his bandaged face before he snapped his fingers and a Rutanin appeared. Yes, Danzo-sama? Asked the blank Anbu mask wearing Rutanin. That in contact with Kazuhana Dodo. Inform him that I wish to enter an alliance with him. One that would be mutually beneficial to us, commanded Danzo with the root shinobi nodding before he vanished into the shadows. What should we do about the Uchiha? He's becoming increasingly belligerent with his Jounin sensei. With the Kyuubi Jinchuriki promoted to Chunin recently, Team 7 is now lacking a third team member, said Sai as he kneeled in front of Danzo and awaiting an order. Which is why you will be put on the team as the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's replacement. Your mission is to gain a close personal connection to the Uchiha. Get him to befriend you. To trust you. Show you are stronger than him, but not too much that Kakashi will suspect something. Lure Sasuke to me with the notion that getting stronger lies not in one of the many branches of Konoha's trees, but in the roots deep beneath the surface, commanded Danzo with Sai nodding. Yes, Danzo-sama, replied Sai with a nod. Also, I want you to spy on the Kyuubi Jinchuriki as much as possible when around him. Observe his training regiment. Who he is training with. His interaction with these people when training. Everything. Added Danzo with Sai nodding again. What if he suspects something? Asked Sai with Danzo narrowing his eye at the boy. Ensure he doesn't, replied Danzo coldly. Yes, Danzo-sama, said Sai before he left to carry out his mission. Soon I will claim Konoha for myself. I will become Hokage. And when I do take what is rightfully mine, I will make the Kyuubi Jinchuriki into my personal weapon. I will make the brat crush all of Konoha's enemies until there is nothing left to kill, but him when his usefulness is over, thought Danzo, while gripping his cane tightly, while the idea of taming the most powerful entity among the 9 Biju played out in his mind. Konoha Hospital days later. Here we are. Time for you guys to get checked out, remarked Naruto while pointing to the hospital with his group nodding. Do we have to? I just got out of a lab after being in a glass jar, whined Sujetsu while Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Karen, said Naruto before the sound of Karen punching Sujetsu in the head and turning into water. Hey. Stop doing that. Demanded Sujetsu while getting in Karen's face. Then stop being such a whiny little bad girl. countered Karen angrily before they began to bicker with each other. That may have done more harm than good, Naruto-sama, commented Kimimura with Naruto sighing. So it seems. Excuse me, replied Naruto before he moved between them and smashed their heads together. Hey. What the hell? Demanded Sujetsu and Karen at the same time. One more argument from either of you and I will do something that will make your time in Orochimaru's lab seem quite pleasant. Got it? Commanded Naruto with both of them nodding quickly since the blonde Saiyan already proved he wasn't one to piss off. We'll be good. Said Karen and Sujetsu at the same time. Excellent. Good to hear you two are seeing things my way. Now march. Commanded Naruto with Karen and Sujetsu slumping in defeat as they obeyed. I might require a much deeper examination than usual, Naruto-sama. My lungs prior to my fight with you were not exactly healthy, said Kimimura while they walked into the hospital. I know, Kimimura. You mentioned it before when we were heading here. I'll be sure my godmother gives you and Jugo here a detailed examination when the time comes, said Naruto before processing the two at the hospital and to have Tsunade see his group as soon as possible. What are you doing here, loser? Demanded Sasuke since he had been brought in to treat a sprain in his arm and got half the hospital staff to cater to his every whim in getting it worked on. Seeing some of my friends who just got admitted here for a physical. What about you? Getting surgery for a gender change you so desperately wanted? Asked Naruto with a smirk. No. Besides, if anyone needs a physical alteration it should be you with that damn tail of yours, commented Sasuke with Naruto smirking further. You're just jealous I have one in the perks that come with it, commented Naruto with Sasuke scowling since that was true. Sasuke knew if he had the tail, it could act as a secret appendage in a pinch when fighting an enemy, and there was also the transformation done during the presence of the moon. If Sasuke could do that, Itachi wouldn't stand a chance, and everyone would bow before his very greatness whether they wanted to or not. Shut up. Your newfound power is nothing compared to the might of an Uchiha elite like myself, Sasuke shot back. Considering there are only a handful of Uchiha alive outside of yourself who are much stronger than you, the standards for the title of Uchiha elite has gone down considerably here in Konoha, taunted Naruto while Sasuke scowled angrily at him. It was only because of Sasuke's quick glance behind the blonde and the fact Naruto could sense the person behind him did the Saiyan use his tail to smack the person behind him into a wall. Turning slightly, Naruto scowled even further when he saw Sakura there with a kunai falling out of her hands and the boy put the pieces together. Sakura was going to either A. Cut off his tail to gain her crush's affection. Or B. Stab him in the back at the base of the spine in an attempt to cripple him just before going for the killing stroke that would most likely have been the slicing at the neck. I saw that, Naruto. You are going to be reported for assaulting a fellow Konohanin with your tail, said Kakashi as he appeared seemingly out of nowhere and planned to take the boy in to have him demoted back to genin. I assume you also saw how Sakura had a kunai in hand and planned to use it on me, countered Naruto while Kakashi frowned and saw the kunai barely being touched by his downed student. Are you sure? For all you know, she was handing it back to Sasuke from training with it earlier, offered Kakashi. Please. Sasuke wouldn't accept the kiss of life from Sakura if he was on his last breath and you know it, Naruto shot back while making sure his tail wrapped itself around his waist. That's a matter of opinion, commented Kakashi with Naruto scowling at him. Then report me to the Hokage. Go ahead. We'll see what Tsunade decides once she has Inoichi dive into her head for the truth and you explaining the convenient timing of your arrival after I stop Sakura's attack, said Naruto with Kakashi's eye narrowing at him and then at Sakura for a second. You can pass for now, said Kakashi with Naruto smirking. I thought so, replied Naruto while ignoring the glare Kakashi threw him. Don't get comfortable, loser. I'm going to show you my superiority soon, said Sasuke while Naruto smirked once more. What superiority? A single sprain in your body and you rush to the Talk to me when you have been beaten within an inch of your life and come back from it within a few days' time. Until then, piss off. Replied Naruto before walking down the hall, through a flight of stairs, another couple of corridors, and finally stopped at the room meant for Hyuga Hinata. Only to hear voices. You are going to be branded when you have properly recovered, Hinata. The Hyuga clan cannot and will not tolerate main family members of the clan losing to the branch family. It is a sign of weakness, and all weaknesses must be properly removed from the main family one way or another, said a man, who Naruto deduced was Hinata's father, Hiashi if the blonde recalled correctly, since the man appeared to be at that proper age. It is not weakness to show love for one's family, countered Hinata, while Hiashi just scowled at her for a second. That is where you are wrong. Love has no place in our clan. The cage bird seal has created a rift too powerful for such a thing to heal it, remarked Hiashi, while Hinata just frowned at his words. Maybe if the Hyuga clan stopped practicing the use of the cage bird seal on the next generation of Hyuga children, such a rift of which you speak could possibly begin to heal, offered Hinata with Hiashi looking at her in shock and anger. Out of the question. Never say that again. Do you understand I will not hear such a thing from you on this matter, commanded Hiashi with Naruto snorting at the idea of this issue going silent. And why is her idea so bad? I think it's great. No seal on the next generation of Hyuga means they don't have to be your slaves in all but name. No seal. No hatred, remarked Naruto with a smirk on his face at seeing Hinata blushing at the sight of him. This doesn't concern you, brat. Stated Hiashi with Naruto raising an eyebrow at him. Actually it does. You see, a short while back, I had this important talk earlier with a few people regarding the cage bird seal and the history behind its existence. Mainly because something about such a seal seemed off to me. Maybe it's the Uzumaki in me or maybe it's the curious nature of being a curious boy. But spending time in my home or at least having a shadow clone in my home doing research on seals has revealed some very surprising facts about the cage bird seal. Would you like to hear them? Replied Naruto with Hiashi beginning to sweat a little since he had an idea on what those facts were. I suggest you keep such information to yourself from now on. It is safer that way. For you and my daughter, warned Hiashi with Naruto scowling now. And if anything happens to Hinata, I'll go public with those secrets just to see your so-called noble clan be exposed for the pathetic pieces of human trash that they really are in life. Countered Naruto while Hiashi looked livid at his words. You wouldn't dare, whispered Hiashi with Naruto smirking. Test me and find out, replied Naruto with Hiashi narrowing his eyes. This is not over, said Hiashi before walking out of the room. I didn't expect it to be over. Not with assholes like you around, commented Naruto to himself before refocusing on Hinata. Sorry about my father, said Hinata sadly while Naruto waved it off. Don't worry about it. The guy is a jerk, but surprisingly you could do worse in terms of who you have for a father, remarked Naruto while walking over to her and pulled out a chair before sitting in front of the girl. Was your mission a success? Tsunade-sama told me you went on a mission to another country to find a member of your clan, said Hinata with Naruto smiling and making her blush. Yep. I found a cousin, a Kugaya, a water-turning guy formerly from Kiri, and someone who is depressed because of his power from his own clan being unstable. All of whom I sent to Tsunade for a medical checkup, replied Naruto proudly with Hinata smiled at seeing his first mission as a Chunin being so successful. You do realize that you need to give an official report on this soon, right? Asked QB with Naruto sighing internally, knowing the fox was right while ignoring the Biju's words at the same time. How was your operation to repair the damage the doctors missed? Asked Naruto since a change in subject was in order. Good. Tsunade-sama said I should be able to leave in another day or two, but no intense training until my body fully recovers, replied Hinata with Naruto smiling. That's good to hear. Once you have recovered fully, I think the best way for you to get stronger is through an intense training regimen and looking into a way into using your natural flexibility with gentle fist, said Naruto cheerfully. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata curiously while hoping he meant they would be doing some training together. What is the best way to get stronger? Training, and more training. How do we train? Practice, and more practice. How are you going to practice? With me and the others at the Namikaze estates. Declared Naruto boldly to her. Train? With you? At your house? Asked Hinata while blushing and was incredibly nervous at the idea of Naruto seeing her training. And screwing up. Yep. It is the only way you can get strong enough to show your idiot of a father what he refuses to see for himself, answered Naruto knowing this was for the best. You mentioned my flexibility and gentle fist, commented Hinata with Naruto smirking at her now. Being a Saiyan allows for one fighter like myself to see things about another fighter that others cannot see. When I saw your fight with Neji, I saw your stand was rigid. You were fighting Neji on his terms. Using his fighting stance. Every move you made was almost an exact copy of his moves with gentle fist. In truth, Neji knew your exact movements when fighting before you even made them. It was only after you began using a rather unorthodox fighting style based a bit on desperation to continue did Neji have trouble in landing a hit. You, my dear Hinata-chan, have a natural flexibility on a physical level the rest of your clan clearly does not have in them. Or if they do, it's rare in terms of being considered a recessive trait and thus considered to be inferior when it comes out every few generations, explained Naruto with Hinata nodding. In the past, some members of the clan have been known to strain in their attempts to fight like traditional Hyuga. But they were mocked openly for their failures, called weaklings when they couldn't fight properly, and instantly banished to the branch family to work as one of the servants to the elders. It had not been pretty for those who got that distinct honor among the clan, as the elders had been cruel to them on many levels. using the cage bird seal at random times, making those branded with the seal fall over in pain and scream in agony while whatever they were holding fell to the floor. Anyone seeing such acts would ignore it or assist in the mocking of these poor souls rolling around in pain. Hinata knew that her future in the clan could possibly be among those branch family members if the elders and her father pushed for such a move. So I should focus on my flexibility, said Hinata, since she always felt the need to be more evasive with her moves rather than face things head-on. The flow everywhere around everything like water. Yes. Gentle fist is not limited to one style contrary to the belief of your clan. Though the belief is most likely upheld by them due to the Hyuga clan's traditions related to the breeding process done in terms of reproducing from within. Meaning cousins breeding with not too directly related to each other cousins to keep the strongest traits around. But every so often, you get those who break the rules a smidge, and you get inbreeding on an almost unnoticeable level, replied Naruto, since QB had been kind enough to explain things to him about this prior to coming here. I thought as much, said Hinata to herself since she knew certain clans wanting to keep the bloodline pure to keep it strong and practice such things with some diehard clans, going to very high extremes of incest to make it happen. But lots of trial and error in the process with a lot of errors popping up during the trials to make and keep the bloodlines pure. In any case, we need you to embrace this natural flexibility your body has developed and use it with gentle fist. At the same time, you will need suitable sparring partners to help refine it. Several which I know and can easily be recruited to help once you get out of here, added Naruto with Hinata nodding since she would like that. Thank you for doing this. I'll make it up to you somehow, said Hinata, since she owed a lot to Naruto for doing so much for her. I'm sure you will think of something. Until then, rest up for when you get out of here. You'll need all of your strength for the intense training I have planned, said Naruto before he let out a boisterous laugh worthy of a Saiyan and flew out the window while Hinata just sweat dropped at the end. Why was the boy in her life she had a crush on so weird at times? Okage Tower sometime later. So Kabuto was alive after all. At least he's dead this time, right? Said Tsunade with the Saiyan in front of her nodding. Blew him up into tiny pieces. There was no way he could have fooled my senses and pulled the same crap twice. It doesn't work that way on a Saiyan, replied Naruto with Tsunade nodding, since she had been told about the Saiyans by Jiraiya from what he was told by Brad in front of her about them. Saiyans were in a way just like a walking Sharingan. They could mimic or copy almost any kind of technique or jutsu out there when seeing them, with the exception of certain bloodline limits. Still, it was impressive to say the least, and in some cases the Saiyans were able to figure out how certain moves worked so they could at least counter them in battle a second time around, should they rarely fail the first time. Truly remarkable. I'll take your word for it. Sadly, I can't give you credit officially because it would make our new friends in Kiri look bad, and then they wouldn't want to be the level of friendship prior to this. In any case, you did well in bringing that little group of yours here with one of them being an Uzumaki. Knowing there are still a few out there in the world brings a warm feeling to my heart and I'm glad my grandmother's clan wasn't snuffed out, said Tsunade with a smile on her face. That's good. But what can you tell me about the other three? Kamimuro, Suigetsu, and Jugo? Asked Naruto curiously since he did bring them to Konoha in the first place. All healthy. Which is a bit surprising considering Kamimuro had a lethal lung disease that should have killed him sooner than when you faced the guy. My guess is the use of QB's chakra when healing his injuries cured what he had left and repaired them to the point where the disease is gone. Suigetsu turns to water whenever struck and seems to be in good health despite his desire to cut into things with a sword. But Jugo he concerns me with his depression, replied Tsunade with a hint of concern at the end. Do you think Jugo is suicidal? Asked Naruto with Tsunade shaking her head no. Not really. Or rather not yet I should say. A few more years alone in that cell. Maybe a thought of it here or there. From what Jugo told me, the only reason he didn't go insane around you or me was due to Kamimuro being nearby. Their friendship and friends in general seem to keep that other part of him at bay. I've run some tests, but the results are unclear for now. I need to analyze his blood. Maybe even see his bloodline in action for myself, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding. Jugo told me it was Orochimaru's key to making the curse seal. Maybe that will help, offered Naruto with Tsunade nodding in agreement. That's what I thought too. I'm going to share my findings with Jiraiya on Jugo's power and how it could be used to make a curse seal. With any luck, we can find out what is causing his bouts of insanity and find a way to treat it properly, replied Tsunade while Naruto nodded. Until then, I want all of them staying with me. Kin and Taiya know them, so it will be good to have a few familiar faces around the house they know and trust, added Naruto with Tsunade nodding. The councils will protest this. They might find support with some of the clan heads in the belief you are gathering several strong warriors to take over Konoha, said Tsunade with Naruto scoffing. Let them bad girl. It won't change the simple fact it's necessary. Karen has legal standing to live with me since she's my cousin. Kimimura was one of Orochimaru's chief bodyguards for many years. He knows who the Snake Saiyan had contact with during that time. Not to mention he is the only one outside of myself who can keep Jugo from going crazy, said Naruto with Tsunade nodding at that due to them being valid points. Not to mention a good sparring partner, added Tsunade in terms of Kimimura's fighting abilities. That too. As for Suigetsu, he's a little rough around the edges, but the man can easily be our liaison between Kiri and Konoha in terms of staying on good terms. We still have the Kusanagi, right? Said Naruto with Tsunade nodding since they were able to get that off of Orochimaru's melted body. In fact, it was only thing not melted by the Mizukage bloodline limit. You want Suigetsu to have it, surmised Tsunade with Naruto shrugging. The man loves swords. Why not give him that one as a sign of good faith? He's already had the training. We could make him a sword instructor. And it's not like we can't have a few more of them in Konoha. If anything, we seem to be a little understaffed in that area unless you consider the Anbu, remarked Naruto with Tsunade grimacing. Sadly, you're painfully right regarding that last part. After QB attacked, the number of skilled ninja swordsmen in Konoha outside of the Anbu was reduced drastically in number. From what Jiraiya told me, we didn't have enough instructors to teach. Not only that, but the few we did have were the ones I would consider questionable due some of them being from Danzo's root program. Even now, if I were to put them in charge of teaching such a program, it would risk making them loyal to Danzo in the future, said Tsunade with Naruto frowning. We should talk to Kimimura about Danzo. I wouldn't put it past the old bastard to get in contact with Orochimaru following the latter's fleeing from the village, replied Naruto with Tsunade frowning. Danzo aiding Orochimaru? You actually think Danzo would do that? Asked Tsunade with Naruto raising an eyebrow at her. Given Danzo's way of thinking about Konoha and how he clearly wants to be Hokage to rule over it, I would be more surprised if he didn't try to get in contact with the Sannin, countered Naruto, while Tsunade couldn't help but agree with him on that matter. I'll speak to Kimimura about that later. For now, go home to the others and make sure they don't do anything stupid, replied Tsunade with Naruto nodding before leaving. Namikaze estates. Idiot. Yelled Taiya before punching Suigetsu in the face and turning him into water. Hey up, commented Karen while paying her and mumbling on about the red-haired Uzumakas and how they shouldn't be allowed to make bets. Hey. I just said the maid outfit looked good on you. Take a compliment. Exclaimed Suigetsu once he reformed. It wasn't a compliment you shit. I know boys like you are all the same. You were being idiot. You were picturing me naked. Exclaimed Taiya while pointing an excusing finger at him. First off, I wasn't picturing you naked. Second, get out of my head Taiya. Third, if I ever wanted to picture any woman naked, it would be the Hokage with those awesome rocking tits she got. Not like yours, which are basically small apples when compared to the Hokage's luscious melons, answered Suigetsu with an idiot look on his face. Before Taiya hit him over the head with a nearby table. Taiya, you know Naruto-sama can't replace the furniture you destroy in this house, said Kin in a reprimanding tone. Indeed, commented Naruto once he walked into the room and saw Suigetsu struggling to form together. Naruto-sama. Please don't punish me. Squeaked Taiya fearfully since she had been on the receiving end of his punishments just prior to him leaving for sound. Her butt still had a faint red mark from his hand impacting there. Ha! The mighty Taiya of the former Sound 4 reduced to a mousy squeaking maid, taunted Suigetsu with a small laugh. Shut up stupid face. Yelled Taiya angrily. Enough. Taiya, I won't punish you this time since Suigetsu is being a stupid. But I won't be merciful a second time. Suigetsu, for being a stupid, Karen can use you as a punching bag for the rest of the day and you are forbidden to fight back, said Naruto, knowing it was the only fair thing to do. I was not being a stupid, remarked Suigetsu before he was punched by a now very happy Karen. Yes you were Suigetsu. Now take your punishment like a man and deal with it. Karen, take him outside and continue what you were doing. Only use this, commanded Naruto before he gave her a huge hammer. What the fuck man? Be reasonable. Protested Suigetsu, while surprised Karen could lift it and drag him out back at the same time. I am being reasonable. Either Karen smacks you around with a hammer or I use you for target practice with my energy attack. Take your pick, said Naruto with Suigetsu slumping his head in defeat. Some choice, commented Suigetsu while Naruto just smirked at him. Now see that is you being a stupid again, replied Naruto with a laugh as he saw the man get dragged outside to be smashed into water until Karen tired out. Thank you for taking us in Naruto-sama. And thank you for sending me to Tsunade for treatment, said Jugo in a strange show of courage and speaking up. All the while ignoring the smashing sound coming outside of Karen happily pounding Suigetsu into the ground with her hammer. You're welcome Jugo. Just remember, you have friends here in this house. That thought alone should keep your other side from coming out until Tsunade can provide the proper treatment, replied Naruto with a smile, knowing the young man needed all the friends he could get. And by Kami he was going to make sure everyone in this house had at least one friend in each other. Chapter 8. Snow Time. Naruto was not amused. Not by a long shot. Staring intently at the large group of people on horses in samurai armor while hovering between them and the woman dressed as a princess they had been chasing. Only they weren't samurai and the woman they were chasing was not a princess. They were actors. Actors shooting a movie in Konoha and the director of said movie, a Princess Fuin movie at that. Even worse, the movie's director had failed to inform the Hokage about a chase scene being filmed while using the village as the location for it. Apparently, the director of the movie wanted to play the scene out so people around the actors would be naturally startled and surprised by the scene itself. What it did was make Naruto angry since he had been walking and eating a bowl his 10th of ramen at the same time. His mastery of energy manipulation allowed him to hover the bowls of food with ease, but the stampede of horses had hit all except the one in his hand. Naturally, the loss of so much food of the god's case would not go unpunished. Sadly, the need to avenge his beloved food was delayed when more Konoha ninja arrived to stop him from doing something rash. They quickly explained the situation to him, so the desire to obliterate the actors in armor was going to be put on hold for the moment. So with great reluctance, the Saiyan Uzumaki stayed his hand, but he would avenge his favorite. Avenge. But that being determined, Naruto flew to the Hokage Tower to investigate further about the situation, since rumors were flying about a possible mission to guard the actress. Not that Naruto would enjoy it considering the woman didn't even want to sign autographs for the children who were big fans of her movies. She actually turned them down, hurting all their feelings and doing it without any regret in her eyes. Naruto had to banish the thought of sending a small orb of energy into the woman's chest and kill her instantly via a hole where the heart was located. As much as the woman had deserved a much-needed reprimand, Naruto knew it would not be through him and went with to see if anyone else does it before I do approach. As it turned out, rumors were in fact true that the actress for the Princess Fuin movies was in need of protection per the director and manager of the spoiled actress's request. They had gotten word of some of the more rabid fans plotting something, and it was whispered to be life-threatening. While the movie studio had hired standard security, the director and the woman's manager were not about to take any chances. This woman was the bread and butter for all the Princess Fuin movies ever made. If she died, the company would lose millions upon millions of ryo. It was better to spare no expense now over losing far more in future revenue, never getting into their pockets. The money made from a single Princess Fuin movie could easily pay for such high-level protection expenses 10 times over. You want me to be that woman's bodyguard? Her that spoiled little actress who just a moment ago I saw wanted to swat away a group of children hoping for her autograph. Are you more drunk than usual? Asked Naruto since the mentioned woman's manager, Asama Sanadeu, had been the one to make the request with the director's approval. In order. Yes. Yes. Sadly, yes. And no, I'm perfectly sober you cheeky little brat, said Tsunade while glancing over at Shizune with a mild glare for stealing her sake away earlier. Damn goody toe shoes. The younger woman just had to act all responsible and deny the Senju her beloved's sake. So what if it was the early afternoon? She wanted her sake, damn it. Who else is coming beside me? Granted, my presence alone is overkill, but all it takes is one person to sneak around me to end Yuki-san's life, said Naruto, since he could be in the middle of a fight with someone and it could all be a distraction, while a second person sneaks around to put a blade on the actress's throat. But question. Unfortunately, your group obtained from Orochimaru's base cannot go with you. Karen is not ready for anything related to combat. Sujetsu will freeze where you are going due to snow country having blistering winters. Jugo is out of the question for obvious reasons, and Kamimuro is needed here to keep him calm. That being said, you will be heading out with Team Guy and Team 7. I know you have misgivings about the latter, but Kakashi has actually been to snow country before in his youth. He could prove useful on this mission given the terrain, said Tsunade while Naruto grimaced. Just so long as the Uchiha doesn't do anything stupid. Not to mention Sakura better try to pull her weight. Who is filling in for me since I'm not part of Team 7? Questioned Naruto with Tsunade producing a picture of a pale-faced boy in standard ninja gear. His name is Sai. Danzo approached me with him and said his skills could fill in the gap left behind by your departure from the team. From what I was able to wiggle out of the old Warhawk, the man personally trained the boy, said Tsunade, while Naruto snarled at the mention of Danzo. Meaning the boy is beyond the level of genin. Not to mention he will be Danzo's spy to observe the Uchiha and ultimately myself if given the chance. Not to mention this guy will have the personality of a wet dishcloth, said Naruto while looking at the picture and burned it up in his hands. While Naruto didn't know much about the man per se, he knew enough about Danzo to want the bastard obliterated from the world. Given he was a rival of the Sandaime for the title of Hokage and had done many questionable things in his long life, always stating it was for the good of Konoha each time. But Naruto knew better. Bardock's memories of how certain people aka Frieza had destroyed planet Vegeta for the greater good of the Planet Trade Organization. Also, the Super Saiyan of legend would not arise from the ranks of the Saiyans he treated like garbage. Greater good is Saiyan, but Frieza did what he did because the lizard knew the Super Saiyan of legend was stronger than himself. Frieza saw himself as unmatched, and the idea, no matter how remote, of someone or something being stronger irked the cruel tyrant something fierce. "I let everyone at my home know. I just hope they don't start killing each other while I'm gone," remarked Naruto with a sigh before he flew out the open window. "Damn, Brad is worse than Jiraiya. At least the idiot doesn't knock over my paperwork when he exists," exclaimed Tsunade angrily. "Paperwork you have yet to start, Tsunade-sama. As I recall, you delayed working on it by going to a meeting with intentions of extending the time frame of working at your desk," commented Shizune, while Tsunade laughed sheepishly. "That obvious?" asked Tsunade, while Shizune just smiled, and as if by magic or possibly the use of a pocket dimension brought out another 6 stacks of paperwork to do. Right on top of the large pile she already had on the desk. "Yes," replied Shizune while secretly enjoying her teacher crying at the sight of the pile of paperwork needed to be filled out. One of the many ways of paying the Senju woman back for all the years of gambling and drinking sake at bars. There was also one time when Tsunade tried, when drunk, to get Shizune to take a rather fat pimply man with a rather idiot look on his face on a date. Oh yes. Revenge was indeed sweet. Naruto's home sometime later. "What? You get to go on a mission guarding the actress who plays Princess Fune while she is shooting another movie. And I can't go?" demanded Karen angrily while shaking Naruto with equal fury. "Not my call. Take it up with the Hokage," replied Naruto with amusement in his voice, since he knew his cousin was going to raise all sorts of hell on the Senju woman. "Oh, I will. Just you wait," exclaimed Karen while shaking her fist with righteous fury in her eyes. The kind that made male Nara clan members run for the hills to get away from. "Why can't we go?" asked Sujetsu with Naruto smirked. "You can't go because the location isn't good for your body if it turns into water. I doubt you want to be turned into ice and risk being shattered into over 100 pieces," said Naruto with Sujetsu grimacing at the image playing in his head. "And Kimimaro nor Jugo can't go because one needs to keep the other sane. The Hokage is still working on a treatment program for him," said Karen, since she had been tasked in assisting the Hokage and Shizune with the project. "Hence why I am going with Team Guy and Team 7, said Naruto with those around him looking angry about it. "What? Team 7, the one with the broody emo jerk? The one with the banshee with a shriek strong enough to wake the dead?" asked Sujetsu while Naruto nodding. "And the one with the sensei who is always late and reads porn openly without shame?" asked Karen while her eyebrow twitched with a tick mark. "The very same. They also got a new teammate to fill the void I left behind. Some pale-faced and most likely emotionally stunted ninja named Sai," said Naruto while he saw the confusion on everyone's faces. "How do you know or suspect the new guy is emotionally stunted?" asked Karen, since she was sure Naruto wouldn't make such assumptions right away. "Because he was recommended and trained by Shimura Danzo. The man hates all things related to emotions and stomps them right out of a person being trained under him," said Naruto, while everyone made I see type of noise. "There is more to it, Naruto-sama," said Kimimaro while everyone turned to the albino. "Oh? What else is there?" asked Naruto curiously. "As you know, I was one of the most loyal followers of Orochimaru. I knew many things. Saw many things. I never questioned him. Never challenged him. As such, my loyalty to the Sannin at the time allowed me to go with Orochimaru as his prized bodyguard. There were multiple times when Orochimaru would meet with various contacts personally for one reason or another. I was to ensure none of them tried to betray my former master and attack him from behind. One such contact was Shimura Danzo," said Kimimaro with the Saiyan's eyes widening in shock. "Are you sure?" asked Naruto with Kimimaro nodding. "I was standing right beside Orochimaru on several occasions when he met with Danzo. The man had brought several dozen masked leaf shinobi with him. Each of them was the same in terms of how they acted, but also in how they moved. They were too stiff. Too rigid. Well, I am not a censor like Karen, I could tell those leaf shinobi were not the usual Anbu that Konoha possesses. They were in a sense emotionless," said Kimimaro with Naruto clenched his hands into fists. "That hypocrite. I heard stories about him in passing. People saying he was a true patriot. That everything he did was for the good of Konoha. How he would defended it from all evil. Only to be working with that Sannin for some reason that is clearly not one related to patriotism," said Naruto angrily, since his firm belief in both the Sandaime and Danzo being cut from the same cloth was clearly justified at this point. "I remember that idiot too. He was all calm and cold when talking to Orochimaru. As if the Sannin couldn't attack him. Or he knew something that kept Orochimaru from trying to attack him, added Taiya, while Kin nodded since she had heard the rumors about the man when it sound. Have you reported this to Tsunade? Asked Naruto while Kimimaro shook his head. I have not had the time. Your Hokage has been too busy with paperwork, meetings, and treating Jugo to be informed of this, answered Kimimaro, while Naruto sighed. Make time. Go into her office and tell her everything. At the very least, we can use the information against Danzo in the event he makes a move against me. Or the Hokage for that matter, replied Naruto with Kimimaro nodding. When are you heading out to take the mission? Asked Kin curiously. Soon. Within the next few days. The rest of the group needs to be told, supplies gathered for the trip, and several other things connected to our travel. Hopefully, nothing bad will happen while everything gets prepared, said Naruto, though he just knew the universe was going to do something to screw him over if it saw a moment to create some shits and giggles. It usually did. Several days later. Naruto was right. The universe was trying to screw him over for shits and giggles. First, Kakashi and Team 7 aka Team Unreliable. Arrived late to the meeting point. Second, the actress his team was assigned to guard had decided to flee to who knows where. As a result, they had to track her down before someone did something stupid to her. And finally, though not such a bad thing really, but still an annoyance, his own hair was changing color. It was changing from blonde to red the last couple of days, and thus it was showing off his Uzumaki traits now coming into existence. Not that Naruto minded since he personally thought the aspect of having spiky red hair was more badass over that of having spiky blonde hair. Still, if what images he saw of Bardock Son Goku ascending into Super Saiyan with his hair going from black to gold. Meaning if he ascended, his hair would change color from red to golden too. Provided he could ascend to becoming a Super Saiyan. But for the moment, Naruto decided to focusing on finding their client's runaway actress in Cash Cow before one of the woman's more rabid fans decided to do something bad. Something to make this mission a total failure and thus make Naruto's life difficult since he knew people would blame him for everything. The people of Konoha usually did. She is in here, said Neji while he used his Byakugan to see the target was hiding out in a bar and drinking heavily. For someone who wishes to hide from the public, she is doing it in the most stupidest way possible, commented Naruto, since bars were public areas, filled with people, and the bartenders were known to give out information to anyone willing to pay enough for it. All the usually things they were trying to avoid. I'll go in and subdue her. The rest of you should stay outside. We don't need anyone here making a scene, said Naruto while Team Guy understood while Team 7 frowned. Well except for Sai. But he was an emotionally stunted tool so no one focused on him. Why you? Demanded Sasuke with Naruto glaring at him. Because I can get her out of there without making too much of a scene and I won't let my ego stand in the way of the mission, said Naruto while Sasuke glared at him. You aren't exactly the embodiment of stealth Naruto, commented Kakashi while he was reading his book. And you are? What about Guy? Either one of you says Shinobi of Konoha, challenged Naruto, while Kakashi had to admit it was true. What about you? Asked Sakura while Naruto smirked. Me? That's easy. I'm a Saiyan, said Naruto before vanished from sight one moment and was back the next with a now dizzy green in the face woman. Clearly the high-speed movement and drinking sake earlier didn't mix very well. The fact Fujika's Yuki had fallen to her knees and puked 2 seconds later confirmed it. That's fast, commented Neji since there were few who could move that fast or close to it. Thank you, commented Naruto while keeping a firm hand on the woman at his feet, having just finished puking what she ate earlier that day out of her system. We better get her somewhere less discreet before someone recognizes her and jumps to conclusions, said Guy with the others nodding, and they moved quickly to get out of the public eye, despite it being near the dead of night. Sometime later. Fujika's Yuki woke up with a start. Looking around, the woman saw it was a cabin of sorts, and judging from the rocking movement around her this room was part of a ship. A large ship meant to hold a large crew and guests on board, which she quickly deduced held the rest of the film crew for the next movie. How she hated acting. Putting on that fake smile every time the camera rolled. Pretending to be something she was not. To be this woman who she was not. It was a life of lies and deceit. She couldn't live like this. She needed to be herself. Her true self. She wanted to be free to walk in the street without being surrounded by fans of her movies. Free to walk around and not fear assassinations. Fear of her enemies knowing who she really was and have her life snuffed out at night. If not for being somewhat dignified woman with a secret past known to a few, Fujika's Yuki would have screamed out loud in frustration. Fortunately, a knock at the door, followed by it being opened, revealed the person who had caused her to pass out shortly after puking. You? Exclaimed Yuki furiously before groaning as the hangover decided now of all times to kick in. Yes. Me. The one who found you in a bar, the one who grabbed you from said bar, and the one who put you here in this room on this ship. You're welcome by the way. You were in a public place where people could easily identify you if they looked hard enough with keen eyes. People like that bartender who was pouring you drinks, for example, said Naruto, who had gone back to the bar within the hour of dropping the woman off at their assigned hotel and interrogated the bartender to see if he talked. But she did to an agent of an agent of an agent of this woman's true enemy. Even now, Naruto had informed his shinobi comrades of the snow shinobi, seeking to target them while their ship headed for snow country. All on the peril of one Kazuhana Dodo, who was not only acting as a warlord tyrant of his late brother's kingdom, but wanted his ever-elusive niece dead to prevent her from claiming said throne of snow. And it just so happened that said niece was heading home. If albeit unknowingly at the moment. But she would. The woman wouldn't like it, but that was life. Besides, from what Naruto had learned after putting pressure on the woman's manager, Dodo was an asshole bleeding the country dry, all to unearth the advanced technology buried under the snow the winters here kept at bay from seeing the public eyes. The only reason the man was able to hold on to the country as long as he did was because the people below him did not have the strength or means to rebel, despite the slow gathering of said strength to do it one day. That and what money he didn't bleed from the people to fund his attempts at mining for technological wonders went to the snow shinobi, who were the true muscle the man had in his employ. So long as he funded them and their village, as well as promises of grander things in the future, they would fight for him and crush his enemies wherever they tried to pop up. Unfortunately for the tyrant ruling this cold terrain, they didn't count on a Saiyan being the main opposition here. You shouldn't have done what you did. Your life is in danger, said Yuki while Naruto looked amused. What? You mean bringing you here on this ship? Please. Don't be so dramatic. There are no cameras in this room, so don't bother acting, replied Naruto while Yuki glared at him. I'm not acting here, you idiot. If you only knew who was beyond my name, you would take this seriously, exclaimed Yuki angrily. Who says I'm not? Who says I don't know the truth? Asked Naruto while Yuki looked at him with suspicion. I doubt you truly understand, challenged Yuki angrily. She would be wrong. Maybe you should make a game of it. Every time she is wrong, a piece of her clothing has to be removed. Play your cards right and you could see her naked, said Kyuubi with a smirk on her face. Quiet you. Now is not the time for teenage hormones to run rampant through my body. That comes later, thought Naruto, knowing the fox in him was trying to get him in the mood for the whole mating process she felt he should start. Promises. Promises, Naruto-kun, said Kyuubi while sighing and knowing she would have to wait a little while longer. I do. Your manager is very loyal to you. He was resistant to tell me the truth at first. But when I showed him the power to obliterate something from exceedingly long range, he was open to telling me more. Mainly about you, Kazuhana Koyuki, said Naruto with the woman going tense and slightly fearful, which was not unreasonable in the Saiyan's eyes. Such information was worth a daimyo's ransom. Quite literally, in this particular case. Fortunately, the young woman in front of him was not a daimyo, not yet. Of her own country. That and the one who claimed the title of daimyo unlawfully had no intention of ever paying said ransom. And Naruto wasn't kidding when he told Koyuki about his demonstration of destroying something from far away with impressive firepower. A single orb of energy in his hand was shot from the ship well over 100 miles out to sea. He imagined the explosion from the aftermath could be seen all the way back from the mainland where they left port. It still helped make the impression to Koyuki's manager that he could protect her if push came to shove, but only if the man was honest with them about the truth behind who they were guarding. So imagine that most of them, sans Kakashi, looked quite surprised over the fact the famous actress they were assigned to protect was actually certified princess, and with a little luck help. Become the new daimyo of Snow Country. So you know the truth. Will you kill me now? Collect the bounty my uncle has placed on my head. I imagine it far more than what your village was paid to protect me. It's only natural that you would. The job would quick, clean, you can say whatever it is you want on how I died, so no one would be the wiser. You get to keep your pay my manager gave you and the money my uncle will give once my head is laying at his feet, commented Koyuki in a bitter tone. Contrary to what you were thinking just now, I'm not going to kill you, said Naruto with a sigh leaving him. So why are you here? Asked Koyuki curiously. To tell you that the director is setting a movie scene up on another part of the ship. Get ready in 20 minutes, said Naruto before he walked out her room and shut the door. Why me? Thought Koyuki before she sighed in defeat and decided to do her job and just get through this mess that was life. Sometime later. She's a good actor, commented Neji calmly while he and Naruto watched the movie scene play out on the ship. Agreed. Still, our situation requires more than good acting to complete this mission, replied Naruto, while Neji grimaced since he and everyone else were made aware of the woman's true status. It is also hard to imagine your ability to turn into a giant ape, commented Neji since Naruto had filled in everyone, sans Team 7, of the potential he possessed due to his Saiyan heritage when in that form. Hence why staying outside when the moon was out in full while they were on the ship had been strictly enforced. They didn't need Naruto turning into one and sinking the ship before they reached their destination. Never underestimate the moon, my friend. She holds tremendous power. It is all about who can draw upon it when the time comes, said Naruto, while Neji shuddered since he figured his beating by the now red-haired Saiyan's hands had been merciful. Such an act pulled during the invasion when fighting Gaara could have been used on Neji, and the Hyuga would have been destroyed as a result. No gentle fist move could stand up against such a large creature. Do you think Dodo will strike soon? Asked Neji while seeing the woman they currently acting in front of them earning herself another fat paycheck in making this latest movie. I would. If he knows our route. I'm sure someone was able to tell him in exchange for a nice finder's fee, but that person most likely received a sword to his neck instead, said Naruto, while Neji raised an eyebrow. How do you know that? Asked Neji while Naruto looked out into the sea. Because I asked her manager. Dodo doesn't give money or rewards to anyone unless it is absolutely necessary or in his best interest. A simple informant who no one will miss if he dies is easier to get rid of by quietly ending him once his usefulness has ended, said Naruto, while images from Bardock's past came up with his Saiyan team being killed by Frieza's minions prior to the tyrant moving to exterminate the entire Saiyan race. I heard the man is a tyrant to those he rules over. It's no wonder the people are secretly planning a rebellion, said Neji, since the manager had given them the grim details about how Dodo killed his own brother and moved to take the throne illegitimately. He's weak piece of shit. Take away his fear, his allies, and weapons. What do you have? A man who will do anything to outlive and kill his enemies. Take away the means to do that and you have a coward. Tyrants are cowards at heart. Take away what gives them the ability to be feared and they are nothing. Less than nothing, said Naruto while Gato and Frieza came to mind. Unfortunately, he has a lot of allies, Naruto. Not to mention technology beyond anything this world has ever known, and more of it buried under a lot of snow, replied Neji, since the rumors of the country were known to all. Regardless, we will still make sure the future daimyo on this ship sits on her throne no matter what. Just be ready. Something tells me that the allies of our enemies will be here soon, said Naruto, while sensing danger off in the distance waiting for them. Sometime later. There were times where Naruto hated being right. While rare, the few times he was right, it had been with enemies coming out to kill him. Or those he cared about. Sure enough, 3 snow shinobi had decided to attack the ship and ultimately try to sink it with his ice jutsu taking shape of large animals. One of them being a giant whale. Fortunately, Naruto was able to blast it to pieces with said pieces falling away from the ship itself. The debris still made waves and shook the ship as a result, but the display by Naruto to fly at them in an all-out jutsu fight made the 3 Snonin retreat. The red-haired Saiyan knew they would report back to Dodo and inform him of their assignment being failure for now. If anything, Naruto felt this battle was to test the waters, pun not intended. On how well defended Koyuki was defended from her uncle's forces in this attack. The fact several ninja teams guarding her were from Konoha would most likely make Dodo concerned since shinobi from Konoha had been here before on a previous mission. No doubt the snow nin who attacked recognized Kakashi and would report his presence to Dodo. At least Kakashi would be good cannon fodder, since Dodo will no doubt want him killed off first, since the tyrant would assume the Jounin was the strongest leaf nin protecting Koyuki. Unfortunately, her royal pain in the for a future daimyo chose to slip away from the group shortly after landing on snow country soil. Sighing and glaring at Team 7 since they were supposed to be watching her. Naruto took off through the forest to find the woman running through the snow and had clearly fallen multiple times doing it. You are truly helpless. You know that, right? Asked Naruto while hovering in front of her with his arms crossed and saw the woman struggling to move through the thick snow. The only reason Koyuki wasn't cold just yet was due to the thickness of her clothing. No doubt part of the design for the movie when shooting a winter scene and keeping the actress warm to play her part. Shut up. I won't go back. I can't go back. Don't you get it? This place, this weather, and these people are all insufferable. Exclaimed Koyuki while Naruto frowned. Insufferable? How? You just got here for the first time since your childhood, replied Naruto while slowly descending onto the thick snow. Yes. But I remember it. All too well. The cold winters. The brutal snow. The people of our country suffering, yet enduring. All while my father tried to bring spring to winter as he called it. Every day it was the same thing. Trying to bring spring to winter. Never stopping. Never ending. I never understood what he was doing. I don't think anyone truly understood his plans or his actions. And then one day everything changed for the worst, said Koyuki with tears coming out of her eyes for the first time since the night it happened. When Big Bad Uncle came into the picture and killed your father, Naruto concluded with Koyuki nodding. And all for the power the country possessed. Power and technology this world has not seen due to the snow that buries it. But I have seen some of it. Train systems that can move things and people great distances and speeds faster than a horse ever could. Airships that take to the sky and transport you beyond the seas instead of risking the wrath of the water if traveling by boat. There is so much this country has to offer and my uncle wants to use it for evil. And yet I am powerless to stop it. The people can't stop it. I live a life of lies and deceit while everyone here suffers under my uncle's cruelty. I'm in hell," said Koyuki while finally glaring at him in anger. "Hell? You want to talk to me about hell? Since my birth, people have been abusing me, torturing me, and trying to manipulate me for their own suck amusement. And for what? For something that wasn't my fault. All to be their puppet, their slave, their toy, their weapon. And when I caught on, they tried to demand I suck it up. That I take it with a smile on my face and continue to take it long after without complaints. That I was always meant to be their plaything and the idea of thinking for myself was considered blasphemy in the eyes of my tormentors," said Naruto, while Koyuki was shocked to hear this. "What did you do?" asked Koyuki curiously since she didn't expect someone so young as Naruto have any kind of power to oppose those running his village. "I told them to fuck off. That I was going to think for myself. I was going to be myself. And I told them I would use all the power at my command to ensure their cushy lives at the top of the tree would be ruined before my end. When I was younger, about 6 years old, after I took rather bad beating on my birthday no less, I promised myself that no matter what was thrown at me, I would endure. I would take this pain, this suffering, this abuse the village forced on upon me and turn it into something else. I would become so strong and so powerful in life that nothing short of a god could challenge me. Now all the people in Konoha who abused, hated, or tried to use me are now pissing themselves in fear. I took what was sent my way and turned it into a means to get stronger. That is what you have to do. Your enemies think you are some spoiled actress. They don't think you have the spine to rise up and defy them. They think all the power is in their hands. You just need to prove them wrong by finding your inner strength and using it," exclaimed Naruto with Koyuki slowly nodding. "Isn't this a touching moment? So inspiring. The monkey boy teaches a spoiled princess how to stand on her own 2 feet. What's next? You teach her how to dance too?" asked Roganadder with a smirk from his position in a tree. "Why don't you come down and I'll show you how," commented Naruto while fighting the urge to blast the snow into pieces since the sound would cause an avalanche. He needed to get in close. Tempting, but no. "I suggest you hand over Dodo-sama's niece. Refusal would be unwise on your part," said Natter confidently. "Oh, lick a lemon snow cone," said Naruto, while Natter frowned. "I see. You are one of those kind of shinobi. The one who acts with his heart instead of his head," commented Natter while Naruto smirked. "I prefer to think of it as me being brave over that of being a weak coward. Like a certain snow nin in front of me," Naruto countered while Natter scowled before smirking. "Let's see how brave you are when dealing with an avalanche," exclaimed Natter before he made a hand sign and triggered an explosion. "You shit," cursed Naruto and was about to grab Koyuki when he noticed his feet had been frozen underneath him by several inches worth of chakra-made ice. While only temporary, it was in that time, Natter struck first by grabbing Koyuki and had her over his shoulder. And just because he could, the man gave Naruto an armored punch in the face. Not that it hurt Naruto, who didn't even feel it, but the Saiyan wasn't going to reveal that to the snow nin. Not when he was dealing with the avalanche. Besides, Naruto knew that Natter wasn't going to kill Koyuki. Not yet. Dodo wanted her alive for something. He sensed as much from when the attack on the ship was more of a probe into the defenses the ship had. Now the enemy was upping their game and it was time for Naruto to do the same on his end. Which he did moments later after the avalanche hit and Naruto exploded out of the snow before giving chase to Natter. It wasn't hard to track him since he was entering a tunnel of sorts when Naruto found the fool. No sooner had the snow nin got halfway through the tunnel did Naruto fly past him with Koyuki once more in his arms. "What? How?" demanded Natter in shock while Naruto smirked. "You didn't think such a weak move could stand against a Saiyan, did you?" said Naruto while he floated in the tunnel. "And what the hell is a Saiyan?" demanded Natter while preparing to use another ice jutsu. Only for Naruto to vanish and appear right in front of him. And shove a fist through the snow nin's armor and flesh. "Me?" replied Naruto menacingly before he made the man explode after shoving a ball of energy into him. Fortunately for Koyuki, she was facing away from them when Naruto performed the act. What Koyuki did see was the sight of her country's legendary high-speed train coming at them right through the tunnel. "It's the train. We are going to be crushed," exclaimed Koyuki while Naruto glanced back at the side of the vehicle. Again, Bardock's old memories of the space pods, the power level detecting scouters, and other high-tech items the PTO came to Naruto's mind. Compared to those items, this train was a primitive piece of technology. Still, Naruto wasn't going to say anything since this world was not the one Bardock was from, so it was a moot point. Granted, he could destroy it, given his power, but there was a chance of the debris could fly out of control and hit Koyuki. So the best course of action was to get her out of the tunnel and somewhere safe. He could always blow up the train later. Hold on. We're going on a little ride of our own, said Naruto before took off and flew toward the opposite direction of the train. We can't outrun it. We are going to die. Exclaimed Koyuki while Naruto growled. Shut up. I'm sick and tired of this, it's hopeless. We are going to die. Bullshit from you right now. We are not going to die. We are going to live and you are going to sit on that damn throne to rule over the people here. Exclaimed Naruto angrily while flying faster and exited the tunnel in plenty of time before the train came out of it. And it just so happened that the two of them were near the movie crew and the Konoha teams guarding the group. Where were you? Asked Tenten curiously while Naruto set the princess down. Sorry, I was buried in an avalanche and just finished outrunning a train. How are you? Countered Naruto with Tenten blushing in embarrassment since she had come off as rude to him. That scene flying out of the train was gold. We have to find a way to add that into the movie. Stated the movie director since this was well beyond anything he could have hoped for when making this movie. The sound of the train activating its brakes brought everyone toward and saw the long length of the locomotive had various compartments to hold something. And Naruto suspected that whatever this something was, it wasn't good for them. So, my foolish niece returns. And she brought help from Konoha no less. Add the rebel filth trying to take this country from its rightful ruler. How insulting. I will not let this act of betrayal by the people of this country go unpunished. They will die for this. All of them. Including their families. Down to the last child. Stated Dodo from within the train into a speaker system with his anger and bloodlust growing during his speech. Your niece is the next in line for the throne, Dodo. The fact you killed your older brother to take over also makes your claim for the title of daimyo forfeit by default, said Naruto while hearing the angry growl from the man's throat. My brother was a weakling. Spending all his time trying to make Snow Country a better place while failing at every turn. He was a failure for a daimyo. And failures like him have no right to rule. Exclaimed Dodo since he was always jealous of his brother and the fact that people loved the man over him. Dodo wanted to unlock the technological treasures of their county to bring about a new golden age, but at the same time, he didn't want to share the reward such an endeavor brought. Not to mention his goody-goody noble elder brother and daimyo wouldn't allow such things to happen the way Dodo wanted. Dodo knew his brother would share the wealth with the people. Bah. The people. He hated the people. Always wanting what was his by right and might. And for what? Because they were all loyal. They should be loyal to him until the day they died and received nothing in return because the people, all the people, were beneath him. And now this monkey boy for a Konoha shinobi was denouncing him. All for killing his brother and taking it for himself. The nerve. Dodo. Your time is at an end. We will put an end to your end and bring new life to our country. Declared Asama Sanadeu in full samurai armor and sword along with various other rebels ready for a fight. So the rebels show themselves. How nice. It saves me the trouble of hunting you down myself or employing my snow nin to do it for me. Since you are all here, let me show you a small, yet powerful demonstration of Snow Country's technological power through this train. Consider it a generous gift from your one true lord and master. Stated Dodo with a cruel laugh echoing through the speakers. After Dodo finished speaking, the various train compartments soon shifted on the outside to reveal projectile launchers of some kind. It was actually making many of the people who were opposing Dodo, the Konoha protection detail, and the movie crew nervous at what was happening. Kakashi. Sasuke. Sai. Create an earth wall to protect everyone. Now. Commanded Naruto while filling both his hands with energy. I don't take orders from you, loser. Sasuke shot back while Team Guy was rushing to get people out of possible firing range, despite the snow impeding their movements. If you want to live past this moment in time, you will do as I say. Or do you want to be turned into corpse? Countered Naruto while Dodo laughed into the speaker. So the monkey boy figured it out. Good. Witness the full power of the kunai and arrow launcher system. DE. Exclaimed Dodo before the system in question began firing volley after volley of pointy-tipped projectiles at them. God damn it. Kakashi. Sasuke. Sai. Do it now. Commanded Naruto while Kakashi and a reluctant Sasuke did what was asked of them. Only to surprise Naruto once more at their heartless actions when only two shinobi used enough chakra to create the earth wall to protect the movie crew, Team Guy, and of course Koyuki. But not the rebels. Cursing at them, Naruto moved quickly in the path between the projectiles and fired his own energy attacks at them while they were still in the air. He got as many of them, but some of the projectiles got past the Saiyan since there were so many fired over and over again by the train. Finally having enough, Naruto formed one more energy ball before firing it at the train, and the end result was blowing it to high hell. The princess could bill him for the damage later after she became daimyo. Looking around, he saw quite a few rebels had been killed. Not as many as there would have been had not acted. But still there were quite a few severely injured, if not dead men on the ground. Staining the pure white snow with red life-giving blood. Some groaning in pain. Others crying over the loss of dear friends near them who had joined the rebel cause to overthrow Dodo. Speaking of that arrogant shit. During the commotion, the two remaining Snow Nin partnered with Natter, had managed to sneak off with Koyuki and get her into the airship now flying high above them. And what is worse, the people who were supposed to be watching her when he set her down, which was Team 7, had failed to do it. Sure, Kakashi and Sasuke had made the earth wall, but Sakura and Sai could have made sure Koyuki didn't get nabbed. Though one was just plain useless and Sai himself was an emotionless puppet of Danzo, so he may have been under secret orders to let it happen for some unknown reason. You idiots. Morons. Stupid people the world over. I am so angry right now. Yelled Naruto angrily at Team 7 in its entirety. What is your problem, loser? We did what you asked, said Sasuke while annoyed and confused all in one. Hardly. You only saved the movie crew with your earth wall. You and Kakashi together had plenty of chakra in your bodies to make a wall large enough to shield everyone. Yet you chose to be cheap and save only a fraction of the people, while I had to pick up the slack. I bet Sai didn't do what I asked because Kakashi silently countermanded my orders so he wouldn't do it. Exclaimed Naruto while Sasuke scoffed. Like I care about those samurai dogs. Besides, they are rebels so they're scum in my eyes. We were hired to protect Koyuki and the movie crew. Not some lowly peasants in their pathetic quest to fight, said Sasuke, while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. And you feel the same way, Kakashi? Asked Naruto while the Jounin shrugged. Sasuke has a point, Naruto. Nowhere in our contract with Asama Sanadeu does it say we protect the rebels. Besides, the movie crew is more important and we would need any leftover chakra to protect them should the remaining Snow Nin flanked us, said Kakashi, while Naruto looked even more pissed off. That is cold, my old rival. You should have made the wall larger. My team could have covered you and everyone else in the process, said Guy while he and the other did what they could to help Naruto stop the incoming projectiles. Using the Kaiten. Shooting projectiles at incoming projectiles. Or moving to grab targets to get them out of harm's way. Call it what you will, Guy. It's called protecting the VIPs you are paid to protect first and everyone else coming in second, said Kakashi calmly, while Sasuke smirked. Oh really? Then how do you explain those Snow Nin capturing Koyuki and whisking her away onto Dodo's airship? Countered Naruto while pointing at the airship getting away from them. You can fly, right? Well go fetch her, Chunin. Said Kakashi without worry over the fact he was treating Naruto more like a trained dog playing fetch and ignoring the ever-growing, extremely angry look on Naruto's face. Or the slow rumbling around them. You bastard. You go on and on about teamwork and friendship. But in the end, you are just another hypocrite. You not only risk the lives of the second team here, but also the rebels seeking to free themselves from Dodo. And for what? To protect the movie crew. Do you think they approve of you just saving them when it was possible to save everyone here? These rebels are not actors in a movie who get hit by a projectile and suddenly get up once the director yells cut. To wrap up a recorded moment. When they get hit by the projectiles and die, they stay dead. Exclaimed Naruto with his anger increasing and Kakashi narrowing his one eye at him. I don't need a lecture from a shinobi lower in rank and experience when compared to myself, Naruto. Besides, I am confident Dodo won't kill his niece. Not yet at least. She still has enough value to not be killed by his hands or one of the Snow Nin he employs, said Kakashi confidently, well sound heartless when he did. Says you. We all know about the crystal on her neck and its purpose. Dodo does not need her. He needs the crystal. Countered Naruto while Kakashi just gave the boy his usual mask-shaped smile. Which is why I swapped out the real one for a nice fake one that looks exactly like it, replied Kakashi with Naruto's anger rising even more. And what happens when Dodo realizes the necklace with the crystal hanging around her neck is a total fake? Who do you think will suffer for such a humiliation? Dodo already had his brother killed to get the throne. Do you really think his niece will be spared such a thing? Her value to him is now worth zilch. Exclaimed Naruto angrily, knowing this mission was possibly minutes away from being a total messed up failure. As long as Dodo doesn't get the crystal to start up his plans for world domination, I can live with that, stated Kakashi to the shock of Team Guy and the anger of his former genin student. I hate you. I never thought it was this possible to hate someone at this level before now. But you. Yelled Naruto at the end while his power shot up and everyone saw him begin to go through some kind of change. The ground began to shake violently. The sky became filled with storm clouds. Lightning shot out from the clouds to strike the ground around them. terrifying the rebels and the movie crew alike. And most importantly, they saw Naruto was changing too. His newly changed into red hair quickly changed color to blonde for only a brief second before it went back to red. Then changed yet again from red to blonde for another second. Only to happen again. And again in another second. And again in another second. "Naruto, you need to calm down," pleaded Lee while getting nervous, and it seemed the young Saiyan's rage was only increasing. "Calm down, I will not calm down. I have enough of people telling me what to do, how to do it, and judging my actions when their actions are the one that should be put into question. I will not live my life being told how I feel and what I should be feeling," exclaimed Naruto while glaring holes at a now concerned and nervous Kakashi. And it wasn't just him. Team 7 as a whole was become frightened by this. Even Sai. And that boy wouldn't have known fear until now if it came up and punched him in the face. What power. I've never seen or felt anything like this. I don't even have my Byakugan on, and I can feel it, thought Neji before Naruto let out one last yell from deep within. And his body seemed to be consumed in a golden fire that changed his hair plus his eyes at the same time. His hair was once again a golden blonde color, and his eyes were now an intense turquoise color. "Holy shit," exclaimed an injured Sanade, who was being treated by Tenten for the projectile that hit his leg. "My thoughts exactly," thought everyone else, while the director was making sure that his cameraman was getting every single second of Naruto's new form, before and after its completion. "When this Kakashi, I am going to enjoy beating you within an inch of your life. So by all means, enjoy this time being whole and pain-free while it lasts," stated Naruto and shot toward the airship, leaving a golden streak in his wake. Yosh. The Yondaime Hokage was known as the Yellow Flash. Naruto could be called the Golden Streak, said Lee with fire in his eyes, since his new rival had ascended to a level of strength never before seen by anyone. How? How can he have such power? It should be mine. Mine. Thought Sasuke with his anger and slight insanity creeping through his mind. With Naruto. He caught up to the airship instantly. Without any kind of restraint, Naruto easily ripped the door off and let the pressure along with the wind drip through the hallway. Already, the alarms were indicating there was a serious problem and alerting the owner of this vessel that something was wrong. And sure enough, the two remaining Snow Nin came to investigate. Only for both of them to be obliterated on the spot by Naruto shooting an energy ball that also destroyed another portion of the airship. Not that it bothered Naruto or the fact that damage caused the airship to tilt. He moved with a purpose, damaging the airship in the process before kicking the door down, the door leading the bridge. And standing there was Kazuhana Dodo, wearing his own chakra armor while holding his niece tightly by the throat. So the noble hero comes to save the princess. How pathetic. It's like something out of a fairy tale. You even look the part, mocked Dodo with a sneer while not impressed by the sight of Naruto's transformation. Release her, replied Naruto coldly while seeing Dodo had a fresh cut on his face and a blood-stained dagger on the ground. Clearly Koyuki had tried to get in close and do some kind of damage to the man. Or at least leave a mark of some kind that he wouldn't soon forget. Good for her. You overreach, boy, countered Dodo, while young Saiyan in front of him formed a ball of energy in his hands. Last chance shit for brains, said Naruto, while Dodo used his niece as a living shield. You won't fire that thing at me. Not when my niece is involved, countered Dodo with his voice filled arrogance and confidence. You're right. I won't fire it at you, said Naruto, while Dodo's smirk grew. And that is why I am the ruler of Snow Country now. I don't feel the need to care about anyone else but me, commented Dodo and expecting Naruto to stop his intended attack. You misunderstand. I won't fire it at you. I'm going to fire it within your airship, said Naruto before he raised his arm to fire the energy behind him. What? Questioned Dodo before Naruto fired the beam of energy behind him and caused a massive explosion behind the Saiyan. The explosion could be seen from the ground. Many were horrified since they feared the worst had happened in not only losing one of their protector's comrades, but the future daimyo of Snow Country. Fortunately, when the dark cloud following the explosion had begun to clear, the golden glow and streak came into view. The rebels cheered at seeing Naruto return and with Koyuki alive in his arms before setting the woman down. It was clear from the dazed look in her eyes, the woman didn't know what truly happened on the airship as things exploded. Naruto understood. He knew the Koyuki believed her life should have ended there, but the Saiyan had moved faster than Dodo thought possible to grab the woman from his grip. Once he did, Naruto shielded her with his energy, so the explosion wouldn't harm her in the slightest. Thank you, Naruto. Thank you for saving me, said Koyuki while Naruto simply smiled and nodded. That was amazing, exclaimed the movie director while dancing around and was so thrilled by what he saw. That's a bit of an understatement, remarked Naruto to himself before he powered down to his normal state. This movie is going to dominate every other movie out there. We got everything. The drama. The passion. The transformation you went through. The explosion of the airship and the saving of the princess. This will be the best movie ever. Exclaimed the movie director, knowing that some of the things his cameraman got on film would have broken the budget he had already and just got it all for free. Not to mention it was all authentic. No special effects. No cheap tricks or sleight of hand. It was all real. People loved realism in their movies. And he got something incredibly real. On film. For free. Well, at least everything is fine now with Koyuki safe, commented Kakashi before he felt Naruto's fist hit him in the stomach with enough force to lift the man off the ground. When we get back to Konoha, I will see your gets nailed to the wall for your actions here today, Kakashi. Make no mistake, you will answer for it, said Naruto angrily before he walked away with Koyuki after snatching the real crystal that Dodo had wanted from the start. He is not wrong, my old rival. When we get back to Konoha, you will have much to answer for in connection to your actions, said Guy, knowing he and his team would back Naruto up when it came time to report to the Hokage. Don't worry, sensei. We'll back you up. Stated Sakura while Kakashi struggled to stand and look over at where his sensei's son was walking. I messed up. My actions will be reviewed by Tsunade, and I doubt the Hokage will as merciful with a simple punch, thought Kakashi, while he saw everyone was following Naruto to the machine Dodo had planned to activate. The man had been bragging about it to Koyuki prior to Naruto's rescue of her and had wanted to see what exactly the man was after. Do you think it is safe to activate? Asked Koyuki curiously. Your father spent a lot of time making this thing, right? Do you believe he was making a weapon? Or something to help your country survive the bitter cold? Asked Naruto while Koyuki smiled gently and went to the control system before putting the crystal in the slot. Soon, the machine began to function. Gears, pistons, and other components activating as power was fed into the machine. The actions making the machine's various parts move had helped the snow on it fall to the ground and revealing the many giant mirrors aimed in different directions. With them in position, the sunlight shined down on the mirrors, creating heat from the reflective panels, creating the needed heat to melt the snow. As a result, the melting snow revealed luscious fields of grass, flowers, plants, and other things, with spring itself finally appearing after so many long years of being lost to winter's ever-cruel embrace. This is unbelievable. He did it. My father actually did it. He made spring come to our country. Exclaimed Koyuki with actual tears now coming out of her eyes. I thought as much. A man like your father doesn't spend so much time trying to bring spring to a winter-filled country and leave behind a weapon. Dodo was a fool. He was so confident that what was being made here could be used as a weapon. It's clear that the fool did not know his brother at all when it came to making something like this, said Naruto, while basking in the feeling of spring touching this land for the first time in a long time. Spring County capsule sometime later. The renamed Spring Country was celebrating its new beginning for all of them, now that Dodo was dead. They were free to be happy. Free to walk around their cities, their towns, and homes without fear. Fear of being persecuted. Fear of being violated. Fear of being killed. They were finally free of their fear. Are you sure it's not possible for your group to stay longer? Asked Koyuki, now dressed in daimyo robes that were very similar to her Princess Fune clothes she wore in all of her movies. Tempting, but we sadly can't stay any longer. We have to report back to the Hokage and let her know how the overall mission was a success, said Naruto while Koyuki looked sad but quickly cheered up. Oh well. Maybe in the future, should I require your services. I know who to call, Naruto-kun. Until then, here is something to remember me by, said Koyuki before she presented him with a signed autograph of her in the Princess Fune outfit. With a lipstick kiss on it and a message too. See me when you are a few years older. I will give you a real thank you involving less of what you see on me and far more in the bedroom. Hazahana Koyuki. I am definitely taking her up on that offer in the future, thought Naruto with a smirk and gave the woman a nod of understanding after reading the message on the autograph. You better. It would be unbefitting of my vessel to not pounce on such an opportunity to claim a female daimyo of a country. Besides, you can now claim to have conquered an entire country through bedding her, said QB, while giving him a knowing look. You really are into this whole conquest of women thing, aren't you? Thought Naruto as he saw the fox in his body smirking. Koyuki smirked back before she walked off to meet some kids asking for her autograph, which this time around, the woman had no problem giving to her devoted fans. She also made a note in her mind to revisit Konoha again to give those children from before the much-needed autographs they asked for the first time around. Konoha Underground Route HQ. This is bad. Dodo has fallen, and the QB brat has gotten even stronger. I had hoped my agents in Dodo's ranks could leak information on where his niece was heading, and the fool could send the Snownin to intercept them. But they failed. All of them. Not only did Dodo get it in his head to act like a paper tyrant in believing the country was his to rule, he also provoked the QB Jinchuriki to change into some kind of golden warrior. Now his powers have seemingly multiplied several times over. He not only killed Dodo, but the other 3 snow nin and saved Koyuki from harm, thought Danzo, while he looked over a report Sai had sent to him in advance while the teams were heading home. And it was quite an report to say the least. While Konoha now has a foot in the door to the country's resources and technology in the future, it will only stay that way so long as the QB Jinchuriki stays loyal to the new Hokage. And Konoha by extension. This last piece of information is unacceptable. His loyalty is hardly what one would consider stable. Not only that, but the Jinchuriki's loyalty is not to me like it should. Such a tool and weapon should be loyal to the true Konoha. Loyal to the real Konoha. The Konoha I have always represented and strived to achieve despite others always keeping me from my destiny, thought Danzo with his memories of those who stood in his way, making the man grip his cane in anger. Aburama for naming Hiruzen as his successor. The Uzumaki clan as a whole and their self-righteous attitude toward the Biju being sentient beings over that of mindless beasts. Uzumaki Mido and Uzumaki Kushina for keeping the QB from being utilized as a weapon against Danzo's and therefore Konoha's enemies. Hiruzen himself for accepting and surviving several discreet assassination attempts made by Danzo so he could take over in the man's place when it came to making a nomination. Namikaze Minato to succeed Hiruzen after the Third Shinobi War. Hiruzen for once more becoming Hokage after the Yondame's death. Senju Tsunade becoming the new 5th Hokage through Jiraiya's recommendation after Hiruzen died. The last one had infuriated him to no end. Earlier that day, Danzo had used the power of his Sharingan eye in his head to influence a powerful noble who was in Konoha that day. If he had known when the nominations for Hokage were going to happen, Danzo would have used his eye to nominate himself. He was Hiruzen's rival in their younger years, and Danzo had only expanded his ambition with time. He had the wisdom, the knowledge, and experience to run Konoha. Let the young generation march to their deaths. That was what shinobi were for when sent out on missions. Tools to be sent to their deaths. And if they somehow survived, just send them out again and again and again until they finally do die. As for the moral implications, Danzo cared for none of them. So long as he was Hokage and plans of his own creation were accomplished to bring Konoha to greatness, he didn't care about the lives of others. Only Danzo's life mattered. Only Danzo's life had any value. Everyone else around him was insignificant. He was a weapon holder. A wielder of tools. And in Danzo's mind, everyone not him was either a weapon or a tool to be used and thrown away when necessary to achieve his ambition. For now, I have to be cautious when dealing with Konoha's weapon. The more enemies and obstacles I send toward the QB Jinchuriki, he gets stronger as a result. While it is beneficial that he crushes Konoha's enemies, it will also making him more dangerous for when the time comes to make my move against Tsunade. What is worse, his powers and mentality is an unknown factor in all of this. Calling himself a Saiyan. I do not know if the Sharingan eye can be used to control or subdue him. Even if the Sharingan worked on the Jinchuriki for a time, there is always a chance the control I wish to establish will be temporary, thought Danzo with a frown, since the weapon's powers were an unknown. And Danzo hated the unknown. Not only that, but the power Naruto wielded seemed to be based on rage. The Sharingan made people and animals go into a rage. Biju especially. Danzo had no intention of using his Sharingan and risk adding fuel to an unpredictable fire he knew would not be controlled, even by a powerful Jinjutsu unleashed by such a rare Sharingan. He would let the weapon revel in his victory. It was a victory for Konoha and in a way, for himself. One step closer to accessing resources his spies within Dodo's ranks would never have been able to obtain due to the tyrant's paranoia in wanting to keep it all to himself. Besides, Dodo would have been a threat to Danzo and his own ambition in the years to come. It was best to have the fool removed now before the threat became too much to be ignored and Dodo becoming so arrogant as to reveal his secret relationship with Danzo himself. It makes certain people demand answers. Answers Danzo did not and would not give to anyone since he felt his approach to things was justified. The man felt he didn't have to answer to anyone or anything. He was the future ruler of the world and as such, Danzo was beyond the judgment of lower beings. Chapter 9. Darkness and Hate. Tsunade read the reports Guy and Kakashi wrote up. For the most part, they were pretty much the same. For the most part. There were a few, yet noticeable difference. For one, Guy explained in his report about Kakashi's actions during the mission to Snow-Spring Country. How the man chose to save the movie crew over saving everyone with them. Including Guy's team, the rebel soldiers, and Naruto with the excuse the movie crew was far more important. Kakashi's report did not include that and even stated how Naruto was out of control, badmouthing everyone and being disrespectful, while Team 7 was the image of perfectly calm. Hence why both Jounin were in the room to explain the situation. Guy was being quite calm despite his usual self being the exact opposite, but Kakashi on the other hand was doing his best to not sweat nervously under his mask. I read both your reports on the latest mission. And I must admit, I am a bit puzzled by your reports. Do you know why? Asked Tsunade while Guy was puzzled and Kakashi did his best to look bored. Puzzled? Why? Everything I wrote in my report is true, Hokage-sama, replied Guy while Tsunade looked from him to Kakashi. Is it the same for you, Kakashi? Asked Tsunade while Kakashi stiffened for a second. Yes, Hokage-sama, said Kakashi while Tsunade narrowed her eyes. I see. Well, the reason I am puzzled is because your reports are similar for the most part, but they different in certain areas. Perhaps the two of you would like to help me with this by clarifying certain things in order to end my puzzlement. Asked Tsunade with both men nodding. What is the issue, Hokage-sama? Asked Guy since he was sure Kakashi had been honest in his report, the same as himself. Namely, the issues in both reports showing certain events happened one, yet was not even mentioned in the other. Not only that, but in regards to your report, Kakashi, you mention how good your team was during the mission and state how Naruto was out of control. You said, and I quote, went into a fit of rage. Insulting you, your team, and just about everyone around him. Was irresponsible, disrespectful, and endangered the entire group. You event recommended Naruto be demoted. Does that sound about right? Asked Tsunade with Kakashi nodding. Yes, Hokage-sama. You will also notice my students signed off on my report too. They all agree and swear what was written is accurate, said Kakashi while Tsunade nodding. And you realize the penalty for falsifying a report? And said report having your genin student signing it? Asked Tsunade with Kakashi nodding while the sweat started to come back. Yes, Hokage-sama, answered Kakashi while Tsunade looked over at Guy. As for you, Guy. You have stated Naruto was commanding, yet for all the right reasons. He protected the client despite her being difficult. He also protected the rebel soldiers and your team from hard as well despite everything. Sound about right? Asked Tsunade with Guy nodding. Yes, Hokage-sama. Every youthful word I wrote in my report is correct. My team had no problem signing off on the report. They know the penalty, if not the risk of not filing a proper mission report, said Guy, who gave her a thumbs up and shiny teeth-like smile for good measure. I see. So herein lies the puzzlement. Why is it that certain parts of each of your reports are either omitted or different from the other? Who here is lying to me? To the Hokage of this village? Questioned Tsunade with the two men looking at each other before looking back at her. Perhaps Naruto could come in and state what happened from his point of view. Offered Guy since he had no problem with the young Saiyan being the tiebreaker here. I would advise against that idea, Hokage-sama. The boy does not like my team. He will clearly do anything to discredit me, countered Kakashi with Tsunade narrowing her eyes at him. Considering how you were not much of a teacher to him from the start, is it really that much of a surprise? Asked Tsunade with Kakashi shrugging. He should have respected me no matter what, replied Kakashi with Tsunade not liking his response. So Naruto should have put up with your tardiness, your favoritism toward the Uchiha, and let's not forget your decision to not properly train him in anything outside of the principles of teamwork. Teamwork, which was not existent from the start. Something you refused to correct in the slightest. In fact, the only remote form of teamwork Team 7 has possessed during the Naruto was on the time involved Sasuke insulting him and Sakura using Naruto as a punching bag for the slightest provocation, said Tsunade with Kakashi shrugging once more. Teamwork takes time. And 2 out of 3 people working together is better over none at all. Besides, Naruto wasn't a team player. He never listened. Never did anything right, said Kakashi with Tsunade's eyebrow twitching at his words. So you're saying it is Naruto's fault he wasn't taught anything? It is also Naruto's fault that you did not show up on time, teach your team as a whole over a single individual? Asked Tsunade with Kakashi shrugging again. Teaching a genin team has always been at the discretion of the Jounin sensei in charge of them. I see potential in Sasuke and none in Naruto. Sakura was the buffer between the two of them. In fact, Naruto shouldn't have been promoted to Chunin and only became one due to Jiraiya taking over his training, replied Kakashi, while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the lazy Jounin. Kakashi, I promoted Naruto because of his skills, maturity, and competency as a shinobi of this village to do things right. He also helped fight off an invasion, stop the One Tail from destroying Konoha from within, and let's not forget his actions in helping the Bloodline rebels take control of Kiri after winning their civil war. This eventually led to the new Mizukage visiting and assisting in Orochimaru's downfall, countered Tsunade with Kakashi narrowing his one eye slightly. The Sandaime Hokage would say otherwise if he was still alive today and not dead by Naruto's own hands when he transformed into a giant monster ape, Kakashi shot back while Tsunade growled in anger. My sensei made sure Naruto's life was miserable from day one. And for what? Revenge for the loss of his wife. A loss that from what Naruto told me, wasn't even the fox's fault, said Tsunade, while Kakashi didn't believe that in the slightest. And you believe him? The fox inside of him clearly lied, said Kakashi, while Tsunade wasn't moved by his words. He explained to me in detail exactly what happened that night from the QBE, showing its memories of that moment in time. A masked Uchiha came out of nowhere, killed all of the Anbu bodyguards, my sensei's wife, and ripped the fox out of Kushina right after Naruto was born. So don't try to feed me crap about Naruto or the fox lying to me about what happened that night. Sensei's own journal admits as much on the subject of someone influencing the QB coming out. Even still, my sensei felt someone had to be blamed for everything so the village could properly vent over all the losses it suffered that night, replied Tsunade with Guy making a noise. Forgive me Hokage-sama, but the reports? Questioned Guy in order to get things back on track. Yes. Thank you Guy. As far as I am concerned, Guy's report is the valid one, while you Kakashi have falsified an official report. All to show off the Uchiha in a false light and get Naruto demoted. I find that inexcusable. And before you protest Kakashi, I contacted the new Spring Daimyo to confirm which report was right. Not only her, but the former rebels and the movie crew, with all of them basically backing Guy's report over your own. So tell me something Kakashi, why shouldn't I punish you and your team who signed this report for this violation? Demanded Tsunade while Kakashi tries to keep his resolve on this issue strong. Because Naruto is too dangerous. He is unpredictable. The only value he had was the fox sealed inside of him and the awakened power obtained during the Chunin exams. Without those two things, Naruto would be a dead last nobody who should have been thrown away in the shinobi reserves to rot. And you and the village need me to bring out Sasuke's potential with his Sharingan, answered Kakashi with Tsunade's growl getting louder. Kakashi, your actions are reckless, stupid, irresponsible, and narrow-minded in regards to those around you. Your perception of things is poor, and if it wasn't for the fact you are a valuable shinobi to have in the village, I would throw you away in a hole and destroy the hole, answered Tsunade with Kakashi feeling slightly smug since there was a but coming. But you won't because of my valuable skills, and Sasuke needs someone to help with his Sharingan in order to reach its fullest potential. Anything less would be detrimental to the village, added Kakashi with his smugness leaking out into his voice. Yes. I won't throw you away. However, do not think for one moment I am not going to punish you for this action. It just won't be the fitting punishment I want to give, replied Tsunade while Kakashi was shocked and worried over that miscalculation. And what punishment did you have in mind, Hokage-sama? Asked Kakashi with a hint of worry. You will be demoted to Chunin. Your pay reduced to reflect your demotion and rank to reflect this. Your time will be spent training the Uchiha, since you claim to be the only one to help him with his Sharingan. Furthermore, the Uchiha will be tested and evaluated by people of my choosing in the future. If I find him lacking in necessary skills needed to be a shinobi of this village, I will remove you as his sensei, said Tsunade with Kakashi wincing, but he could handle it. And what about Sakura and Sai? What about Team 7's future? Asked Kakashi offhand with some measure of curiosity. Simple. Team 7 is being disbanded. As far as I am concerned, Team 7 never even had a future. Sakura's training has been minor at best and will be sent into the shinobi reserves, provided she keeps up her training. If not, she will be relieved of service and can get a civilian job. Sai was brought in at the request of Danzo. A man I wouldn't trust to have a civil conversation without him seeking a means to gain power in the process. As it stands, I am sending him back into the reserves too, said Tsunade, well knowing Danzo would find a way to snatch Sai up from the reserves for his illegal route program. The Sandame's journal was quite detailing in Danzo's past actions in the past up until her predecessor's death. It also mentioned how Root was officially disbanded, but still active in order to make other villages, if not clients, believe Konoha had the best morals of the 5 great shinobi villages. If Root Nin were ever caught in their mission, Konoha could not be implicated in their clearly illegal activities on the mission they were on. Oh, the shinobi of old like the Tsuchikage of Iowa and even the Reikage of Kumo knew Root Nin when they saw one. So did the veterans who fought in the previous wars and lived to tell the tale from those 2 villages did too. But neither Cage could claim their village was innocent of having ordered their own missions where illegal activities were carried out. Danzo made sure to have such information as insurance should his own operations be brought to light. A just-in-case situation to justify his actions. At the moment, Danzo assumed she wasn't aware of his activities with Root. Still, it did not mean the man would be reckless in his activities, with Tsunade being Hokage. To do that would be stupid and foolish of someone of Danzo's level when it came to scheming. Speaking of Danzo, the man came into the room looking serious, walking with a purpose and his cane hitting the wood hard with each step. For a man who believed ninja should be stealthy, Danzo had no problem announcing his entrance like he was the center of the village, if not the whole world. He wanted everyone to focus on him, but not his illegal activities or his Root Nin. Okajama, I heard Team 7 has returned from their mission, which was a complete success, commented Danzo, while deciding to speak first. Honey, how I was just informed of the same thing. Your handpicked student Sai must tell you a lot of things. Some of which you are not meant to know, said Tsunade before she dismissed Kakashi from the room. I personally trained him and I do have clearance, replied Danzo without shame. I'm sure you did train him since your emotion purging signature is all over his body both mentally and physically. While Sai's shinobi skills are quite impressive for one his age. It would also explain why his ability to interact with people, namely his own genin team, it is practically non-existent, commented Tsunade, while Danzo's one eye narrowed at the jab toward his training of Sai in all aspects of life. As far as Danzo was concerned, human interaction with others outside of himself was just something Rutenin did not need to do. I'll be sure to remedy that, remarked Danzo. I'm sure you will. Now, aside from your socially awkward student, why are you here? Asked Tsunade since Danzo's sudden arrival was unwelcome and unexpected. I had hoped to speak to you about the Jinchuriki and his importance to Konoha, said Danzo with Tsunade narrowing her eyes at him. He has a name, Danzo. You will address him as such, countered Tsunade with Danzo giving her a mild shrug. I suppose I should. Weapon and tools are occasionally given names to make them feel more important. Though I find the idea pointless, replied Danzo with Tsunade growling. He is not a weapon. He is a person. Same as you and I, countered Tsunade while seeing Danzo didn't care about Naruto's rights or position in the village. As usual. Except he is a Jinchuriki and all Jinchuriki are weapons of war. Weapons who need to be held by a weapon holder, Danzo shot back. All shinobi are weapons of war. Including those who are supposed to be retired of active service. And last I checked, I am the Hokage. Which means Danzo, by your own way of thinking, I am the weapon holder, countered Tsunade with Danzo frowning slightly due to her being painful as it was to admit on a mental level. Right about that. There have been multiple weapon holders in Konoha in the past who have the power to command shinobi aside from the Hokage, commented Danzo, and was prepared to use Anbu captains, clan heads, and even the Sannin themselves as key examples in order to squeeze in his position as former head of Root in there too. To some degree, yes. But you fail to realize, Danzo, that the Hokage is the leader of the entire village. Meaning I am the final authority and the weapon holder to wield any and all weapons. Even other weapon holders in the village lower in rank outside of my own position. And don't think for one moment I have forgotten about your position in Root or that you wish to remind me of it to call yourself a weapon holder. Even if that is remotely true, Danzo, you are still a weapon for me to command. In fact, if I ordered you to walk into Iowa with hundreds of explosive seals on your body and kill that Tsuchikage, I expect you to obey the command. Said Tsunade with Danzo disliking the idea of dying, much less on the order of someone he considered weak when compared to himself. Such a command is invalid, Hokage-sama, as I am retired from active shinobi service, said Danzo with Tsunade smirking. If that is true, you have no business being on the council. You have no business being part of Konoha's infrastructure and government, countered Tsunade, while Danzo's one visible eye narrowed. Just because I am retired from service out in the field doesn't mean I cannot function to serve the village in another capacity, Danzo shot back with Tsunade's face becoming deadly serious. No. You can't. Either you are on the active roster or you are retired on a small pension. You cannot have it both ways. Are you still active or retired? Challenged Tsunade with Danzo gripping his cane tightly since she was putting him a tight spot. If he said active, Danzo would keep his position in the council, along with the correct level of clearance to access certain classified material others did not. But if he did, it would mean his position was second to the Hokage on an official capacity. It meant he has to obey any order she gave, and to ignore or disobey could be counted as treason. Such a thing would also risk being counterproductive to the training of his Rootenin, who he taught were to obey him as the true Hokage of Konoha. To acknowledge Tsunade as his better on an official level might make certain members of Root question things about what they were doing. He couldn't risk it. At the same time, if Danzo declared himself retired, he would lose his clearance level to access classified information needed to manipulate things from the shadows. It would also mean his Rootenin would be unable to obey him anymore, as they couldn't follow someone who retired from leading. Besides, retirement of shinobi in their elderly years practically meant death without purpose. Even more so for a man of his seasonable age, and Danzo had no intention of dying like that. Or dying at all. Danzo had squads his Rootenin raiding Orochimaru's old and more recent bases, where the man conducted his research to extend his life in order to extend his own beyond the norm. He wanted to live forever. To live and rule over the world as a god, with Konoha being his temple to him. To his beliefs. To his convictions that emotions are a weakness and should be expunged from the mind. That his way of doing this was the correct way, no matter how immoral his actions might seem to others. What few knew about Danzo was it was actually his mindset that poisoned Orochimaru in the first place when the Saiyan was en route, convincing the Saiyan to go beyond the boundaries of ethics and morality in order to achieve the means to ascend to godhood. It has worked for the most part with the Saiyan providing results to his research, which had helped Danzo in his desire to evade death's grasp. But over time, Orochimaru's mind was unable to handle the mental strain of the concept Danzo had envisioned. Orochimaru's ambitions and genius had mixed with Danzo's concepts of becoming a literal god among all others. As a result of this, Orochimaru's mind became warped and twisted into what people knew of him prior to his death. Only instead of following Danzo's ambitious path for the good of Danzo himself, the Saiyan had chosen to follow his own ambition, born from the seeds of the Warhawk. Orochimaru had decided to find out the secrets of immortality for himself, and only for himself. He had cut Danzo out entirely in the quest for immortality, without fear of repercussion from his superior, in the belief that the highly illegal experiments done would not be revealed to the Sandaime. The Sandaime felt Danzo would risk implication and become a target of the Sandaime for doing illegal actions. He underestimated Danzo, who had made sure to purge all records of his involvement in the support of these experiments before getting his rival involved to expose the Sandaime of his crimes. The last thing Danzo needed was the Sandaime having the means to kick him out of Konoha and labeling him a traitor like Orochimaru. Since I clearly have the power to choose what I am to Konoha, aside from being a long-standing patriot, I would say I am an active shinobi, answered Danzo, while making sure Tsunade understood his position in Konoha was one of loyalty to the village and being one of the oldest members in it to serve. Glad to know where you stand, Danzo. And since you are an active shinobi, no matter how seasoned, I have a mission for you. One where I can make use of you and your rootinin lying underneath Konoha, said Tsunade, while Danzo's eye widened in shock before it narrowed. Root was disbanded years ago, said Danzo while trying to play the "I don't know what you mean" and the much more subtle "you can't prove it" card. And yet I have it on good authority that it is still very much active. Now, before you say I have no proof, I want you to think real hard about what I just said. If I didn't have proof of Root being active, would I have mentioned it right to your face? And to answer the obvious question in your head, yes, I have the proof, and no, I won't tell you where it is or who provided it. All you need to know is I know it is active, I know you are running it, and I know you have done plenty of shit that if it came to light would turn every single shinobi village, if not every country against us in an all-out war. Provided I don't give them you and your rootinin as a peace offering, replied Tsunade with Danzo gritting his teeth since it was clear to him that she did have proof and wasn't afraid to expose him. And he once more cursed his dead rival for leaving, said proof for someone to pick up to use against him. It seemed he underestimated the Sandaime's desire to deny him what he wanted and would go so far as to deny him from beyond the grave. What mission do you require of me and my rootinin Hokage-sama? Asked Danzo with Tsunade narrowing her eyes at him. First off, they are not your rootinin anymore, Danzo. They are mine. You may be their commander, but I command you. Meaning I own what you own. So don't call them yours ever again, or I will have you executed on the spot for treason. Second, you and my rootinin are going to redirect their efforts on the one major threat threatening the balance of the elemental nations, ordered Tsunade with Danzo's eye widening slightly. The Akatsuki, concluded Danzo since they were the only ones left outside of the other shinobi villages threatening Konoha. Yes. You and all the rootinin that you've had under your command will be redirected toward finding and eliminating the Akatsuki's contacts, informants, and eventually their main base. Jiraiya reports they are not yet ready to move against us or the other shinobi villages, so we have a chance to hit them first and hard by targeting all of the higher-ranking members of the Akatsuki. I want you and the full might of Root taking the fight to them. Is that going to be a problem, Danzo? Asked Tsunade in the end with Danzo shaking his head no. No, Hokage-sama, answered Danzo though he didn't like giving it to her. Good. I expect results and you will provide me with detailed reports when ordered. If I find you have been trying to subvert my orders or using any of the Akatsuki's resources for your own purposes, I will break you, Danzo. Painfully. I will break your body into so many pieces, even my medical skills won't be enough to put you back together properly if I wanted to save your miserable life, warned Tsunade with Danzo now fighting the urge to reveal his hidden arm and eye so he could usurp the woman of her position. No. He was exposed enough as it was right now. Tipping his hand at this stage of things would be unwise since there were still too many obstacles in his path. Not to mention a certain QB Jinchuriki would take his attacks on Tsunade personally and seek to obliterate him from this world. He wasn't sure how his powers could compare to the village weapon right now. Too many variables. Not enough information. As you command, Hokage-sama, said Danzo before he left the room and planning to get around this troublesome issue. But Sasuke sometime later. Sasuke was livid. Every day that went by, it seemed he was getting weaker while the loser was getting stronger. The most recent incident with Spring Country and him transforming into something else entirely burned his Uchiha blood something fierce. The dead last with no real talent was getting the power, the strength, and the glory from these missions. The greatness that came with those things belonged to the Uchiha clan. To Uchiha Sasuke. The last loyal Uchiha in all of Konoha. Sasuke needed to obtain power to rival, if not surpass Naruto. He needed to do something drastic. Something that would tip the balance of power in his favor. To achieve absolute power in order to bring Naruto low and into the ground. Power he couldn't get here in Konoha. If anything, they had given him all they could, and Sasuke was done with their sudden desire to want something more from him. He was an Uchiha. He didn't have to give anything to anyone. Sasuke was an Uchiha. And Uchiha took what they wanted when they wanted. Everyone was a tool, a stepping stone, and resource to be used for the purpose of making any and all members of the Uchiha clan stronger. And with Konoha no longer able to give him what he needed, the only thing left to do was go somewhere else. I need to leave this place. Leave and go where I can get stronger to kill Itachi. Once I do, the fools here in this village will give me everything that loser has obtained just to gain my loyalty, back thought Sasuke, knowing the village would bend over backwards for him, no matter what crime was committed. Making up his mind, Sasuke went to his room, packing his essentials needed to survive long enough to get outside of Konoha and Fire Country. Once he was in another nation, Konoha wouldn't be able to touch him. Not yet at any rate. Knowing the councils, they would move to have him pardoned for any future crimes, provided he gave the village a bunch of Uchiha children in the future. And Sasuke had no problem with that, provided they were any and all women his loser for a former teammate loved and cared about. What better way to hurt the Saiyan than to take someone close to him as his personal breeding bad girl? And rub it in the Saiyan's face every single day. With that in mind, Sasuke took off from his house, heading for an exit near one of the damaged walls still being repaired after the failed invasion. No one was really guarding it at the time, since none of the villages wanted to provoke Konoha at the moment, given the stories of how one of their own could turn into a giant ape-like creature and handle a three-headed snake summons. Many shinobi were actually wondering why it sent Iwasa Tsuchikage into a frenzy and making false accusations of some kind about it the first 2 weeks following the failed invasion. Though why the old man went ranting about a Jinchuriki and a giant ape was beyond most who didn't know about the 9 Biju and which one was which. Not that it mattered to Sasuke. He would find a way to get stronger, beat the Saiyan loser who shamed him repeatedly ever since changing during the Chunin exams, and prove to everyone that the Uchiha clan was the most superior clan in existence. And never realizing that someone was watching said Uchiha from above with a frown on his face. Hokage's office short time later. So the Uchiha brat ran. Why am I not surprised, commented Tsunade since she knew this was going to happen after Inoichi had given her the psyche report on the brat. Or rather the sorry excuse for a psyche report the Yamanaka in charge of it had filed after Itachi killed his clan and mentally tortured Sasuke. The mental evaluations that followed were no better, and Tsunade demanded an explanation about how this could be allowed to pass. Her sensei let this excuse for reports on the Uchiha's mental health go by like it was normal and ignored the real mindset of the brat. Fortunately, Inoichi had found the member of his family responsible for the assignment, dragged him before the Hokage. After getting answers on why the fool basically fudged the reports on Sasuke's mental health at the request of those high in the governing body of Konoha, he was taken to Ibiki for good measure to search for anything else they might want to know. Though it was fortunate this now spilling his guts out. Yamanaka had also made a secret file on Sasuke, detailing his real mindset in the off chance of getting caught, and he needed a bargaining chip to hold off losing his head. Inoichi proceeded to explain the real mindset of the Uchiha based on the real report, and it was clear the brat had a lot of issues running around his head. An overinflated opinion of himself. Inferiority complex. Superiority complex. Emotional issues and the belief people were either tools or obstacles to his goals. Selfish and will betray anyone remotely close to him if it means obtaining his overall objective to win. Conclusion. Untrustworthy. Recommendation. Serious mental therapy and kept locked away until ready to handle the world. And why was this real report ignored all this time? According to her sensei's journal, he needed to have an Uchiha prior to the clan's liquidation. On Naruto's future genin team. One who had a chance to awaken their Sharingan eyes and keep the boy in line. Kakashi wouldn't be able to do it forever, and Yamato was supposed to be the Sandame's secret ace in the hole should Naruto go on a rampage with the Kyuubi's power. He also hoped that Kakashi could be able to keep Sasuke in check and promise him the means to accelerate the development of the Sharingan to one day target Itachi. So many promises made and most of them false or not kept. All to control power and the belief it was true power to control others with power. The fool. The foolish son of a bad girl that was her sensei, tried to cage storms and demons and power personified all for the sake of trying to feel more powerful when trying to control it. He feels underappreciated. That while I am getting stronger, he is getting weaker. The idiot can't stand the idea of someone our age being stronger. Hell, he could barely tolerate the idea of Haku being stronger than us back in Wave, commented Naruto, knowing the Uchiha had been broody ever since Wave happened and he lost to someone only a few years older. It only proved to Naruto that Sasuke's pride was easily hurt and really fragile. He would act cocky, arrogant, acting like his skills were unparalleled. But when someone comes along and upstaged him, usurps him, or even shows just how pathetic his power is by some kind of comparison, Sasuke would whine like a little bad girl. Bring him back to the village. Beat him within an inch of his life if you have to, Naruto. He is a disgrace to Konoha, his clan, and the will of fire my grandfather believed in all those years ago, ordered Tsunade with the Saiyan nodding. As you command, replied Naruto before he flew out the window and spilled her papers everywhere. Damn it, Naruto. Use the door next time. Yelled Tsunade since she now had to have the work redone or reorganized. Oh, how she yearned for some sake. Damn Shizune for taking her secret stash just an hour ago. It should practically be a prerequisite to in order to deal with this kind of crap. Valley of the End sometime later. Sasuke had finally made it. To this place where his ancestor Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama fought each other. All was left was a few more miles, and he would be over the border and would seek out one of Orochimaru's hidden bases in Rice Country. Once he found it, all Sasuke had to do was see which experiments left behind by the Sannin had the potential to increasing his power. Going somewhere? Asked Naruto, who was hovering behind him with his arms crossed. Yes. To Rice Country. To find the power needed to become stronger, answered Sasuke with Naruto smirking. You won't find it there. Or the other bases Orochimaru left behind for that matter. They have all been destroyed, replied Naruto with Sasuke growling. And how would you know? Asked Sasuke while Naruto's smirk grew. The various subordinates we captured a while back. You remember them, right? They were some of Orochimaru's most trusted people. He took them everywhere. We know about every single base he set up in Rice Country and all the other countries. So all you are going to find is wreckage, answered Naruto, while Sasuke glared harder. I knew you were jealous of me. Jealous of my power. Of the Uchiha clan. You were always afraid I would one day become strong enough to challenge your power, said Sasuke while Naruto laughed. Seriously? Are you that pathetic? Is your ego so fragile that the idea of someone being stronger than you makes your mind seek delusional means of coping with life? Asked Naruto with Sasuke gritting his teeth. Shut up. I'm an Uchiha. An elite. I am a direct descendant of Uchiha Madara himself. I have the blood of greatness in my veins. Exclaimed Sasuke with pride and anger while Naruto scoffed. Please. Spare me your spiel about the greatness of your clan. You are not even a shadow of Uchiha Madara. As far as I am concerned, you have all of the hatred, but none of his power. The man would be ashamed to call you his blood, commented Naruto before he was gone one moment and appeared across from Sasuke above Hashirama's own statue. We'll see who is stronger when I rip your heart out. Maybe I will visit those women you are so fond of in a few years and show them what a real man can do. Use them to breed a new Uchiha clan. One where we dominate the world and all are slaves to our greatness and power. Exclaimed Sasuke with sadistic glee, while Naruto just scowled in a way that spelled doom for anyone it was aimed at prior to a fight. Not only are you a whiny pathetic weakling, but you are a fool too. Just for that, I am going to crush you. And throw your ashes into the wind. Said Naruto in a deep cold and deadly serious voice. Bring it, loser. Exclaimed Sasuke while summoning the Chidori into his hand to make himself look intimidating. Naruto only smirked. Done and done, said Naruto before he vanished and appeared in front of the shocked Uchiha before punching him in the stomach hard enough to lift him off his feet. The Uchiha spewed blood, followed by vomit, followed by blood in the vomit, and was barely holding on while not passing out. The hit was unlike anything the Uchiha had felt before today. No one had ever hit him this hard from just one punch. Not Itachi. Not the academy instructor, though he never did realize they were ordered to pull punches. Not Zabuza when they first met, not Haku in Wave with those damn ice needles, and not even Orochimaru when fighting him in the Forest of Death. This one hit was on a whole other level. Is this it? Is this all you can do, Uchiha? So weak. So pathetic. Take away Orochimaru's curse seal and your Sharingan eyes. This is what you are, Sasuke, weak. Pathetic. You were given so much by the people of Konoha. Yet you didn't earn what you were given. Not one piece of it. Exclaimed Naruto angrily now while Sasuke struggled to breathe. I lost my clan. My family. My mother and father. I lost everything. Sasuke shot back while gritting his teeth with Naruto growling at his horrifying loss like nothing else in the world mattered. So what? You think you are the only one who lost everything? Look at Kiri. They went through an entire civil war regarding bloodlines. wiping out countless clans with unique bloodlines that have been around for generations. How many people do you think lost their entire families during all 3 shinobi wars? How many lost their husbands, wives, daughters, sons, aunts, uncles, cousins, and even grandparents during those times of war? You are but one person in a long line of people who got messed over at a young age. The same with me. The only difference is you had this entire village to love you. You had this entire village to support you. Give you comfort, love, friendship. Ready to do whatever it takes to make you happy. And yet despite it all, you throw a hissy fit when someone in the village actually has a good day, while in your emo presence, countered Naruto before kneeing Sasuke in the air, grabbing his foot and slamming him into Madara's statue. No one deserves to be happy. No one in Konoha deserves to walk around with smiles on their faces. They should be scowling and filled with anger and hate every day over losing what they love. It's only fair. Exclaimed Sasuke while Naruto scoffed. So what you are saying is it's only fair that the people in throughout the world become miserable just like you? In what universe do you believe this world owes you everything when you have lost so little by comparison? Asked Naruto while Sasuke spit out blood and tried to hit his rival with Taijutsu. Little by comparison? I lost my entire clan in a single night. You don't know what it is like to lose so much. The world owes me and my clan 1,000 times over. Exclaimed Sasuke with his mind clearly showing signs of madness while trying to hit Naruto. And all the while, the Uchiha continued to mention how it was his duty to avenge his clan by any means necessary. How the world, if not the entire universe, owed him for the loss of his clan. How he deserved everything and was going to take it one way or another due to being an Uchiha owed a universal debt. Only to be viciously punched off Madara's head before being hit again in midair into the cliff wall near the statue of the Uchiha. Sasuke gasped in pain and found Naruto's hand nearly crushing his throat, with the Saiyan looking increasingly pissed off. Enough. I'm sick and tired of all your belly aching. All of your bad girling. Do you want to talk loss? I'm come from a clan of my own, and we were nearly wiped out by an alliance of nearly every shinobi village on the planet. What's worse is I learned more about my Saiyan side and how I obtained it in order to keep the warrior race one now represent alive. Saiyans are not a clan with an actual bloodline. We were once an actual humanoid race with our own planet to call our own. We had our own culture. Our own beliefs and a way of life suitable to our nature. Do you know what happened? Some power-hungry lizard idiot feared our potential and wiped out the entire planet by blowing it up. Exclaimed Naruto angry with the memories of Bardock and what Frieza did to destroy the Saiyan race. What? Asked Sasuke in shock. Yeah. An entire planet. Filled with life, people, and almost all of them being Saiyans. And to make it even worse, Saiyans were part of that lizard idiot's army. We served him and his empire loyally. And what does he do? The fool blows up our commie-damned planet because he feared the Saiyan race would one day become too strong for him to control. If this universe owes you so much for the loss of your stupid clan totaling a little over 100 people, then I am owed more by the multiverse. And I'll for the loss of my mother's clan and the entire Saiyan race totaling well over into the millions. Stated Naruto before throwing Sasuke from one end of the valley of the end to the next. You lie. Protested Sasuke after coughing heavily and struggling to breathe. Foolish Uchiha. Always using all the muscles within your body except the one that truly matters most in your head. Would I honestly lie about something like that? No. Why? Because it's 100% true. I lost far more in life when compared to your pain, you twit, said Naruto before kneeing Sasuke in the stomach and relishing the sound of several parts of him breaking. It doesn't matter what you say. You are a demon. A monster. A freak of nature despite your claims. You will never be able to know true peace. Konoha will never accept you for anything else but a monster like they did in the past and into the future, said Sasuke, while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. So what? The opinions of the arrogant and a village filled with bigots means nothing to me. And if they do try anything, I will take great pleasure in ripping them apart piece by piece, said Naruto before throwing Sasuke into the water below. And Naruto simply floating above the water in the air and sensing Sasuke's angry chakra signature easily through it all. Even now, the Uchiha was still making his chakra levels known with the negative emotions attached to them. If the brat had any sense, he would mask his signature and try to run away before the beating continued. Though it seemed common sense was no match for Uchiha pride. Always having to win no matter the outcome just to prove their so-called superiority to everyone. So it was no surprise that Sasuke leaped through the water behind him, kunai in hand, Sharingan eyes spinning, and his face filled with hate. No surprise that the boy was so damn angry about being cheated from what was his in life and wanting everything the world had as compensation. "Ah, you tailed freak," exclaimed Sasuke angrily while ramming the blade into the back of Naruto's head. Only for the blade to break upon contact with Naruto's skull. I know people say I have a hard head, but this puts a new spin on it, Naruto remarked casually before backhanding Sasuke into the literal feet of Madara's statue. Why? Why can't I beat you? How are you so strong? Demanded Sasuke while looking at Naruto with rage in his eyes. Because I worked for it. Every day. I suffered for it. Every damn day. What did you do with your life? Nothing. You wanted a jutsu. You complained and someone taught it to your whiny ass. You wanted something from a store but couldn't afford it. You just went and complained and the shopkeeper would give it to you at a loss from his own pocket due to a hefty discount being made. Do you know how those stores were able to give you all of those high-level discounts every single time and still make a profit in the end? They charged me double, if not triple what you would have gotten for damn near free. Where you got the most freshest foods from the market and sent to the front of the line no matter how long it was, I was given rotten food. Outdated food. Food that was so spoiled, the rats wouldn't dare eat it. The stray dogs in the alleys wouldn't touch it. And for the wait, I couldn't even get through the door sometimes. They would toss me into the alley with said spoiled food after taking all my money. Did you honestly think someone as spoiled as you would and could become strong enough to kill your brother with the entire village handing things to you without working for it? Strength means working for it day in and day out. Non-stop. Like I did, said Naruto while Sasuke spat out some blood and a tooth before glaring at him. You didn't get strong through hard work. Your Saiyan powers did that for you. Sasuke shot back. Wrong. The only thing my Saiyan blood did was speed up the process. Even if I wasn't a Saiyan, I could still best you in battle. You have no endurance. No real strength, except for your eyes. Face it, Sasuke, your title of Rookie of the Year wasn't earned through hard work. It was a gift made out of pity, mocked Naruto, while Sasuke lashed out and with a punch to the face. Only to feel like he punched solid steel and broke his hand. How did he do that? Thought Sasuke while grabbing his hand now immediately swelling. Are you done with your whiny temper tantrum now? Asked Naruto while finding the so-called fight boring. Never. I will never go back to Konoha. It is filled with weaklings and fools who hold me back from my ambition. I would rather die. Protested Sasuke while Naruto sighed. So be it, said Naruto before raising his hand and a ball of energy formed to obliterate the Uchiha from existence. Only for Naruto to frown, glanced to his right and shot the blast toward a spot that was overlooking their position. Seeing his chance, Sasuke leaped away with what little power he had left in order to escape the now distracted Saiyan. Only when Sasuke reached the top of Hashirama's statue, Naruto was there in an instant and punched the Uchiha in the stomach. Stay down, fool. Our spy, if not your intended rescuer, needs to be dealt with before I drag your back to Konoha, said Naruto, before turning to face the plant-like creature. How did you sense us? Asked the white half of the plant man. Who cares? We have our orders. Retrieve the Uchiha before he can be killed or return to his village. Said the black half of the plant man. Judging from your attire, you are from the Akatsuki. Why would they seek out this runt? His older brother Itachi is part of your organization. An older brother who he loathes and hates, commented Naruto with Sasuke gritting his teeth at the mention of Itachi. We have orders, said the white half of the plant man. And the Uchiha can still be of use to the Akatsuki, said the black half before sinking into the ground to barely miss a strike from Naruto before appearing beside Sasuke. We will give our leader your regards, said the white half of the plant man. Be sure to mention I called him a cowardly asshole, remarked Naruto, while the black half of the plant man snarled. Don't get too comfortable, brat. The QB will be ours soon, said the black half of the plant man before it grabbed Sasuke and disappeared into the ground. Well, this complicates things, said Naruto before heading back to Konoha to report what happened. Akatsuki HQ. Here he is per your orders, said the white half of Zetsu with the Uchiha in hand. Still don't know why you want him. He's a weak little shit, said the black half of Zetsu before throwing the beaten form of Uchiha Sasuke at the man's feet. Of course he is weak. Konoha made him weak. They fear those who have the potential to be strong enough to become great, said the figure in front of the downed Uchiha boy. You sound like you know from first-hand experience regarding Konoha, commented Sasuke while looking up at the leader of the Akatsuki. Of course I do. I was once part of Konoha's shinobi forces. Proud patriot. Eager to serve my village during the last shinobi war, said the figure while Sasuke was shocked there was someone who was from Konoha leading the Akatsuki. Who are you? Asked Sasuke while the figure chuckled behind his spiral mask and his own Sharingan eye showing. I am Uchiha Obito. The one and only student of Uchiha Madara himself, said Uchiha Obito before removing his mask to show Sasuke his scarred face. How? How is this possible? Asked Sasuke with Obito smirking before putting his mask back on. I will explain everything to you. The truth that Konoha doesn't want you to know. And in time, you will become strong enough to crush the fourth Hokage's son with ease, said Obito, while Sasuke was almost satisfied with the offer. And what about Itachi? Asked Sasuke with Obito tilting his head. What about him? Asked Obito with Sasuke's anger showing. I want the power to kill him. To avenge my clan, replied Sasuke with Obito sighing. I suppose I can help train you to one day kill your brother in the near future. Itachi will most likely be useless to the organization in a few years anyway and have to be replaced with fresher blood, commented Obito, like it was going to be a hassle to lose Itachi for his younger brother. Teach me, commanded Sasuke after standing before he violently backhanded to the ground once more. First off, you do not command me, brat. Now before you go on a rant about how you are an Uchiha elite, you forget I am an Uchiha as well. Older, wiser, and more powerful than even your big brother Itachi. Second, I already agreed to teach you, so there is no need to act like a whiny bad girl. 3. You will do what I say, when I say, and how I say, or I will snap your neck like it was a wet twig, commanded Obito, while Sasuke glared at being hit by his fellow Uchiha brethren. I am not one of your subordinates or those fools in the Akatsuki and will not be treated like one, Sasuke shot back while Obito scoffed. And you are not my superior or better. So don't act like you are either one, boy. For now, you will do what I command because I am your teacher. You want to get stronger. It is called listening and obeying when given orders. Everyone starts off like that and you are no different. You think Orochimaru was all strong and powerful from the start? No. He had to listen and obey just like everyone else. Same went for me, Itachi, your father, and all the Kages from every village past to present, countered Obito with Sasuke glaring. But the loser being an exception it seems, commented Sasuke with Obito's one visible eye behind the mask narrowing. That so-called loser is the son of my sensei Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Both of them were exceptionally dangerous shinobi in their time. Don't believe me? I was the one to rip the fox out of Kushina just after she gave birth to Naruto, and it should have killed her outright. Yet she was so strong that the woman endured long enough to use what little strength was left in her body to hold back the fox's claw from killing her only child. Minato was fighting me prior to this and still had enough strength to force my retreat and sealing the QB into Naruto. Had Konoha properly nurtured their son from the start, or if they had been around to raise him, I imagine the Gaki would have been high-level Chunin low Jounin while you were still trying to graduate from the academy. The fact is, Sasuke, my old village could have had a valuable asset in Naruto much earlier if they had just let their own stupidity die soon after that night occurred. Instead, they tried to cripple him and deny Naruto from reaching his full potential because they feared his already amazing potential inherited from his parents before factoring in the possibility of the Gaki using the fox's power to its full potential. This hate-filled issues you have with the Saiyan blood are pointless, as the Saiyan part of him is merely countering all of the damage my village did while growing up, explained Obito, while Sasuke grit his teeth in anger and frustration. It's not fair. To get stronger so fast and with each new battle. Adding the QB sealed into him only makes it worse. That power the loser wields should be mine to command. Exclaimed Sasuke while Obito sighed like he was dealing with an unruly child. Before punching the boy in the face once more. Are you done bad girling? Complaining about this so-called unfairness you feel right now when compared to the Yondame's son. To think the two of us here are from the same damn clan. I almost wish Madara was here to see how whiny his descendant has become and the way the clan acted following his death, said Obito, but it was more to himself. This information. My guess would be the leader of the Akatsuki assisted in the deed. Itachi doesn't fear Danzo. It was most likely the leader of the Akatsuki assists Itachi in killing the entire clan, except for Sasuke. Danzo swoops in with his root and harvests the eyes because he didn't want such a powerful Dojutsu to be lost. He knows Kakashi had one implanted into his eye and might have thought of having the same thing done to himself, said Tsunade with a frown, while Jiraiya did too. It makes sense. Though who would he go to for such a secret and treasonous operation? Asked Jiraiya with Tsunade thinking before her eyes went wide. Orochimaru, whispered Tsunade with Jiraiya realizing this too. Of course. He was obsessed with transferring bloodlines into other people or bodies for his own purposes. But doing it surgically meant losing it when switching bodies. It would explain why our old teammate never did it himself. Danzo must have approached him in secret and asked Orochimaru to do the surgery shortly after the massacre. He must have a Sharingan eye under those damn bandages and using his excuse of it being an old war wound to conceal it from everyone, concluded Jiraiya, since it would be the only way to hide the Sharingan on his face. Not only that, but who was the Uchiha he harvested it from? Danzo wouldn't choose just any random Sharingan eye. No. I suspect he chose one with unique and rare properties, even among those of the Uchiha clan, theorized Tsunade with Jiraiya nodding since it did make sense. The questions to ask now is, what kind of properties? And how many times can Danzo even use the Sharingan if he has one? A man of his age can't use it every day. Can he use it once a day? A week? Maybe 2? A month? Asked Jiraiya. Well, Tsunade sighed due to the suspicion was giving her a headache. Danzo will never let us find out if our assumptions are true or not. A man with a small army of Rutanin under his command no doubt has quite a few who know medical jutsus to help him maintain his Sharingan eye, remarked Tsunade, and Jiraiya scowled, since there was no telling how far down the rabbit hole this went. And we unfortunately need him in order to keep the Akatsuki on the defensive for the next 3 years. My spy told me due to Yagura being killed, the 3 tails will reform in 3 years. 1 year per tail, replied Jiraiya with Tsunade nodding. Good. With any luck, the Akatsuki will thin Danzo's Rutanin while being weakened at the same time. With both sides weakened, Danzo can be kept under better control, and the Akatsuki itself will be weak enough to crush before they can do any damage when they plan to resurface. Said Tsunade, since that was what she was hoping for in the long terms, with the 2 sides fighting out until neither side had the strength to oppose her plan to clean things up. For once, time was going to be on her side. Danzo's Root HQ. To think Tsunade had the nerve to call me out like that. Hiruzen would have never done such a thing, commented Danzo, while Hamura and Kaharu were in the room with their own scowls. Hiruzen had more respect for us. He knew how we thought and understood our mindset, balanced his out. Tsunade does not respect the older generation. She is unworthy of being Hokage, said Hamura, while Kaharu nodded. Clearly. Still, she has provided us a means to protect Konoha from the shadows in her own rude way. The Akatsuki are a threat to Konoha, and Itachi is a threat to us if the truth behind the Uchiha massacre were to be revealed, remarked Danzo, since he knew if the truth did get out and what happened to the Uchiha eyes taken from them, it would spell disaster for him. Root should move against the Akatsuki and get in contact with Itachi. Inform him of the plan to take the fight to the organization and use his position to our advantage, replied Kaharu, while Danzo nodded. Naturally. And when Itachi is no longer useful, we will kill him. Or rather, we capture him in order to have Sasuke kill his older brother in exchange for the brat's loyalty. Once we have it, the remaining Uchiha can be trained to truly combat the Jinchuriki and bring it to heel, commented Danzo with the shinobi elders nodding. And once properly conditioned to be obedient, the QB Jinchuriki can be used to crush 2 other shinobi villages until Konoha is the only one remaining, said Hamura, with Kaharu nodding briefly before they left. It is a shame Orochimaru and Kabuto are dead. The Jinchuriki's unique Saiyan powers, added with the Uzumaki lineage, might have been useful to help prolong my life, said Danzo to himself while walking into his office and stared into a nearby mirror before a deep scowl formed on his face. For years, Danzo found his body getting weak and weaker. His hair was thinning. His once young-looking skin now had more wrinkles to it. His bones and joints were aching more with each passing day. It got harder to move around to the point where medication for his body might be required, with all the side effects involving his mind slacking for a few precious hours. His medic Nin within Root had used medical chakra to prevent the need for such things, but soon medication would soon be required short of a medical miracle. Unacceptable. We still have time. We will use the next 3 years to prepare for the true Konoha, the real Konoha, to rise up and replace this farce the Yondaime tried to create. It is a shame Hiruzen had to follow the path the Yondaime set for Konoha, seeing how popular it made the village. Otherwise, he could have easily changed things to our way of thinking, said Kaharu with Hamura nodding and Danzo standing still with his back toward them. The Yondaime died a martyr all those years ago. A symbol of the will of fire that he along with Hashirama and Tobirama believed in. The beliefs of a martyr cannot so easily be removed or changed. A symbol can be, if given time, perception, and enough people willing to believe in the change we wish to instill in them. We did it with the Uzumaki clan when removing all knowledge of their existence from Konoha when their clan fell. By making sure the next generation of shinobi would know little to nothing of their very existence, we created the belief it was our village's might alone that prevailed against our enemies in the Second Shinobi War. Not the aid of allies from some island filled with a dangerous clan, refusing to join Konoha fully like they should have done from the start. We easily did it with the Uchiha clan by slandering them in secret and let their pride run its course by letting the fools demonize themselves in the process to further justify our own actions in wiping them out with one of their own. As a result, we had the last Uchiha within its walls loyal to us because we gave him the belief that our power was absolute in all things and only through us could the spoiled brat achieve his own personal ambitions and goals, explained Danzo with Hamura and Kaharu nodding. Only for the QB Jinchuriki to make the Uchiha question those beliefs of the world and perception we created in Konoha. This action made the Uchiha go rogue and weakened Konoha considerably. This action cannot go unpunished and must be dealt with swiftly, said Hamura with Kaharu nodding. Unfortunately, a direct act now would be ill-advised by myself or Root. Tsunade knows any action taken against the boy now would look suspicious, and me acting out of some kind of spite, said Danzo, knowing Tsunade would suspect but not have proof. Not that she would need it, since the woman had other evidence from past deeds to have him charged with treason. What about indirect? What about enemies outside of Konoha? Enemies of the boy's own father and mother? Offered Kaharu, with Hamura and Danzo frowning. You mean that Tsuchikage and Iwa? Or Kumo and the Reikage? Asked Hamura, since those two villages hated both parents of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki for different reasons. Both of them? Iwa and Kumo have regarded much of their former strength since the last war. The Sandaime Tsuchikage already suspects something, and I'm sure the Reikage's own spies in Konoha have informed him of recent developments to put things together, replied Kaharu, while having discreetly leaked such needed information already to both villages without the two men in the room knowing. Plausible deniability, so they couldn't have anything pinned on them and weaken their slightly weakened power base in Konoha's government. I know you all too well, Kaharu. The mere fact you even mentioned the idea means it has already been set into motion, remarked Danzo, while Hamura looked a tad surprised his former teammate would do this behind their back. It was necessary. Tsunade is breathing down your neck. Hamura has been a more vocal supporter of our actions when we talk to Hiruzen about things. Out of all three of us, I am the second most subtle person and have no problem setting side plans into motion to keep you two from being sent to Ibiki, said Kaharu, with Danzo smirking and Hamura just staring and staying silent. So she went behind my back and did it for our own good. So this is what it feels like to be on the receiving end of such things, right, Hiruzen? Thought Danzo, knowing he did the same to his old rival on numerous occasions. I can only imagine Inoki is not liking the idea of the Yondaime's progeny being alive, much less able to become a giant ape monster, commented Hamura at last. No. Our own spies and I were reported that Tsuchikage was irate and almost accused one of his two Jinchuriki of secretly going to Konoha to aid our village during the invasion. One of the two Biju Iwa currently possesses is the four-tailed giant ape, so it is somewhat understandable why he even made his outrageous, yet not entirely usual claim at the time of hearing how the Kyuubi Jinchuriki transformed to fight the one-tailed in battle, said an almost amused Kaharu. With any luck, the future actions of Kumo and Iwa will allow us a way to weaken and control the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. If not, we can always make sure his actions weaken them instead, added Hamura, with Kaharu nodding. No matter what happened regarding the final outcomes of Konoha's weapon fighting the other two shinobi villages, they would be the ones winning in the end. This part ends here. I will upload the next part only when this video gets 300 likes. If you enjoyed this story, then please do like and subscribe to the channel. And press the bell icon on if you don't want to miss the next part. Now it's time to say sayonara.